I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 42 of Tales from Godric's Hollow. The podcast where everything just makes sense in the world of Harry Potter. Like breaking down how Rita Skeeter is misunderstood. You came to the right place. This is what you signed up for. Brace yourself. Hang on for the ride. I am one of your hosts, Josh Brown. I am the muggle of the show. Very opinionated. That's me. But you know what? I think you guys like it. I am joined, as always, as I am every week, the Dragon Slayer himself, Professor Matt Sonnenberg. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Josh.
How are you?
I'm good.
You've had a busy week.
You could say that. Yeah. The email inbox has been keeping me busy.
Yeah. That's good, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I stir the pot a little bit, and you get to dish it out, and by the end of it, we're all having a nice, fancy dinner, eating around a big old table with everybody, so it's going to work out okay, I think.
I hope so.
Yeah, me too. Oh, boy, man, I don't even know where to start, Matt. It's another week of Harry Potter here. For those that may be new to the show, welcome. We are reading through the entire Harry Potter series, one book at a time, a couple chapters at a time, week by week. We're slowly getting through it. The big twist is I've never read them before. This is all brand new to me. This is all a first time experience that you guys get to listen to and enjoy or shake your fist at. Whatever you want to do, however you want to react. I can't tell you how to react to it. All I can tell you is that you should enjoy it, because it's a lot of fun. Matt here. Matt, you've read through the series 1,000 times.
Something like that.
And you're guiding me through this, all these different twists and turns that we're taking here. Here we are on book 4, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. We're like halfway through this book now. It's exciting.
Yeah, we're getting all our action sequences in here now.
Man, like, going into this book, it was looking like a very daunting task to get through this whole thing. You know, we're looking at, like, the end date being, like, the beginning of June, and it's just, so far away. And we're just chugging along through this thing.
Yeah, it's this point in the book, I always kind of am paying attention to the page numbers.
Yeah.
And we're like 350 or so pages in. The first book would have been done like 50 pages ago.
Yeah, it's a stark difference between what we're doing now and where we started.
Yeah.
I was just looking through my notes from the first book, and like there were chapters I was writing like 5 or 6 things in notes.
Sure.
You know, like paying attention. I was into it. It was just nothing was grabbing my attention hard enough to make me want to type it out in notes. And I was putting like one word, things, just a quick hits type of situation. And then this week's notes, like it was just like vomited. I just all over. I couldn't stop, man. I was like rewriting the chapters as I'm going through them. So
I understand. I think part of it is though that even though it was all new to you and there should have been a lot of things to talk about in the early books, mm-hmm. I think you just weren't attached as much to the characters and everything that was going on. So you didn't really feel the need to talk about them anymore.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to figure everything out and try to understand what was important to remember and point out and what wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah. I think at some point, I mean, maybe not for the show specifically, but I think it'd be good for you to go back to the first book and kind of reread it again after we get through this series.
Yeah.
And just see what was in there and what you may have missed, or just a second look at it.
Right. I mean, here's the thing. In chapter 2 of the very first book, Matt, one of my few notes that I had written about chapter 2 was, who is the mysterious Mrs. Fig? I've yet to have that question answered. Just point that out. Almost 3.5, 4 books in here, and that question is still on the table. Maybe one day.
You keep hoping.
As long as it's in my notes, Matt, we shall never forget Mrs. Fig and her great contributions to the story. I feel like she kind of shaped how we look at felines through the story. And possibly, she had a significant hand in shaping the young boy that we follow along on this journey, Harry Potter. Without her, he may be a totally different kid here. So, just food for thought, I suppose. Just tickling the pear, if you were. We have a busy...
Is that going to be your new phrase now?
Oh, it is, Matt. Oh boy. That had me laughing hysterically. And it shouldn't have. Maybe it just caught me at the right time, at the right moment. But it was so perfect. And
Oh yeah. I still enjoy that moment.
It's so silly and so ridiculous, and I love it for that reason. So,
to be perfectly honest, it sounds like something Dumbledore probably made up.
Probably, yeah. That's
like that. That's one of your privileges after becoming headmaster is you get to create a new entrance into the kitchens.
Right.
How would you like to get in? Let's tickle the pear.
Sure. I mean, to be fair, pear is a pretty solid fruit. Not top 5 fruit, but definitely up there. Top 10 probably.
Sure.
So, yeah, just so many things amazing about that whole scenario. But I digress, Matt. We have a big show. We have a lot of things to cover. We have giveaways to start the show, giveaway to end the show. We have a ton of emails, probably everybody yelling at me in all shouty caps. Bring it on, I say. Everybody wants to take a shot at the Muggle here. It's like a carnival, and everybody just, purchase their 3 softballs, and they're going to try to dunk me in the dunk tank. So, I'm excited. And of course, we have 2 amazing chapters to cover. I start to get into this mindset where I feel like we've gotten the best chapters of the book. And then 2 chapters like this come along, and it's a very, very harsh reminder that, man, there's so much good stuff yet to come.
Yep.
And I don't know how you just, sit there week in and week out and just let me say, oh, this is the best. It can't get any better than this. And you're just just wait. Just wait.
Just letting you enjoy this. I'm not going to say, oh yeah, you're right. Those were the best 2 chapters. It's downhill from here. Enjoy. I'm just enjoy the chapters for what they are. That's what we're here to do.
It is one of the many reasons, Matt. The first reason, of course, is to give stuff away. Yes. Last week, we started a new series of giveaways.
Yep.
We're going to crown champions, audience champions, if you will. We're going to give away 4 replica statue dragons. I don't even know how to describe them. I haven't seen them. I don't even know what they look like.
Well, we'll be getting pictures of some sort on Twitter this week, I'm sure. So,
but they are not the ceramic hand painted dragons from one of our listeners that you were posting a while ago.
No, they are not gnomes, ceramic dragons. Okay. Those are amazing. Sure. If I could give them away to everybody, I would. But those are his. Those are his.
I only say that because the question was brought up on Twitter and wanted to clarify. So
yeah,
maybe we didn't do a good enough job explaining the dragons that were given away, or who knows? Just want to clarify. It's not those dragons. But we totally would if we could. So we're giving away little replica dragons. We're going to do 4 of them to represent the 4 champions. And then at the end, that's going to culminate in a larger, more awesome giveaway that each one of the champions will have an opportunity to win. So
correct.
Good things. Last week we started it off with a little contest to help me name the new mascot of the show, which is a stuffed plush squid that was made by your lovely wife, Becca.
Yes.
And sent to me to sit on my desk and help me podcast every week about Harry Potter. Makes me smile just looking at the thing. But if it's going to be a mascot, it needs a name.
It's true.
I'm really bad at naming stuff. So we turned to the audience to help out. And we asked everybody to email in a name suggestion. If people wanted to include how or why they came up with a name, that was appreciated but not required. And to keep everything fair and straight and on the up and up, we're going to pick the name at random from those selections. And whoever we pick, for one, that's going to be the name of the squid going forward. And 2, you could be the first champion.
Very true.
Sounds pretty fair to me. So, Matt, how was the turnout this week for contest entries?
Turnout was very well. We have a whopping 16 entries.
Wow, you guys are awesome, first and foremost. So you're saying I have to pick a number between 1 and 16?
That would be the idea.
All right. Well, here's the thing, Matt.
Yeah?
This squid, the mascot of the show,
yep,
he has 10 tentacles.
As they do.
So let's go with the number 10.
All right. Well, let's see. Number 10 would be...
I just wanted to make you count, to be honest.
Give me a number in the middle somewhere?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Well, you're going to love this one.
All right.
Okay, so...
I like where this is going already.
Well, Becca had very strong feelings about the name.
Okay.
And oddly enough, well, I told her she should enter the contest if she wants to name it.
Okay. Was she number 10?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So...
That's tricky.
Here's the thought.
Yeah.
What if we let her name it?
Okay.
But you give me another number, and that person can win the dragon.
Oh, this is way more complicated than I signed up for, Matt.
I know.
She has pretty strong feelings about it, huh?
Well, her email states, his name is Squidly. I know because I made him.
You know, just because a parent names a kid something doesn't mean that kid isn't going to grow up and want to be called something differently.
It's true, but for the time being...
Squidly, though. That's a pretty solid name. Ah, man, she got me. Okay, like if she had picked a really bad name, this would be a lot easier.
Well, okay, you said you were really bad at naming things.
Yeah.
She's really good at naming things.
Yeah,
so...
Squidly's pretty solid. I don't think many people are going to argue with Squidly. Okay, Squidly it is. Squidly is the name of the new mascot for the show.
There you go.
Because you're married to the winner, it doesn't seem fair.
We kind of went over that when my brother was entering contests. It's like, okay, no, she lives in the same house.
Right.
She can't win.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm going to need another number.
Yeah, I mean, she's a champion in our hearts, but not a champion of this contest. Boy, oh boy. Another number, you say. Let's go with number 2.
Number 2. That would give us... I'm sorry, whoever this is, I'm going to slaughter this name.
It's not your brother, is it? Because
No.
I'm going to draw the line at family members entering these contests, man.
Are you good at pronouncing names?
Sure, it could be.
Okay, I don't know if you want to write this one down.
Okay, or you could put it in the chat.
I could put it in the chat.
Yeah, let's see here. Let's see what we got. The suspense is killing people, Matt. They're just like, oh man, I sent it in pretty early, but how early?
Yeah.
Oh, that's typing. Oh boy.
I'm not good with names. I know that.
One of those letters has to be silent, right?
I would think so.
Nadisha? I want to say it's Nadisha. That's what I'm going with.
Okay.
Ndaesha. Dryden.
I'm sure
Mason.
you know who you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
First of all, let us know how stupid we are and tell us how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Second of all, congratulations. That's a new name. We have a winner that we've never had before.
It's true.
Which is fantastic. You have their email, so you will definitely get a hold of them.
Yes, I will be sending you an email after we're done recording, and we'll get you hooked up with your dragon.
Yeah, but definitely right back. Let us know how to say that name. I feel like I'm pretty close, if not right on. But
you probably are.
I've been wrong before, Matt.
Sure.
Yeah, at least once.
So, I figured since we didn't do this publicly, like on Twitter or something like that, I thought it'd be kind of fun to go over some of the names.
Yes,
because there were definitely some interesting names out there.
What was the champion's name submission? Let's start there.
Nadisha gave us the name that I've chosen for the squid is Herr Tintenfisch. It translates from German to Mr. Squid.
Okay.
I am definitely looking forward to next week's show.
Okay. Well, I mean, solid name.
Yeah.
I think both of us are definitely going to butcher a German based name on a regular basis. So, unfortunately, I think Squidly sticks around.
There you go.
But hey, you still won. You still won a cool prize.
Yeah.
Okay, what else do we got, Matt?
All right. From Brady, we got, you guys should name the mascot of the show. Shoot. Okay, so he's going for Hercules, but with tentacles.
Okay.
So it's
Tentacles?
Tentacles or Tentacles? Yeah, I guess Tentacles.
Yeah, Tentacles.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a Greek mythology addict, and I love learning about the old stories, so I wanted to merge the two names.
Sure.
Either that or Perseus, because he slayed a sea monster.
That's too close to Percy, though, and that kind of weirds me out.
There you go.
Yeah.
From Amanda, we got... I think the giant squid should be named Godric, because J.K. apparently has written this somewhere. She once joked that the squid is Godric Gryffindor, one of the 4 founders of Hogwarts. This would make it the world's largest animagus. On the 11th hour of every evening, the squid would rise from the lake and transform into Gryffindor, who would wander the school grounds before returning at sunrise.
JK, don't play with my heart like that.
Just the fact that Godric Gryffindor could still be alive. Huh? Would be interesting.
I mean, if you're living out your days as a squid, I suppose it's possible.
Yep. Got one from Chris. Says he will be named Carson Wentz. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Boy, oh boy. Kind of glad we didn't pick that one.
Well, okay. Next one is from our friend Atari Alex.
Oh, no.
Who, I kind of appreciate this one, too.
Okay.
When you ask the internet to name something, what are they going to name it?
I don't know.
You don't know how this goes?
No.
Are you familiar with Bodie McBoatface?
Oh, okay.
So he wants Squiddy McSquidface.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad someone sent that in. That had to be done.
Of course it was Alex.
Yes. Rhonda says, my pick for the giant squid is Lepidus. We know JK is fond of using Latin, and since Josh's squid looks very cuddly, I chose its Latin origin. I always thought that the giant squid was female. She seems rather nurturing to me, but Lepidus could be used either way, which is very useful.
Sure. Now, see, here's a distinction here, folks. We're not talking about the giant squid. This is my giant squid. Two different things.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Jessica says, my name for the giant squid is Georgina. I really have no reason except it flows nicely.
Sure.
Sarah says, I have 4 name ideas for you. Loligo, simply Latin for squid. Kraken, the name of a well-known mythical squid-like monster. Sigmund, after a friendly sea monster in an old children's show. Not sure which children's show that is.
Yeah, but I'm curious about that now.
Or Armando, in honor of the elusive former headmaster of Hogwarts, and the play on the squid's many arms.
I see what you did there.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's Sigmund. I can't say I'm familiar with that show, whatever that was.
Probably like a PBS show.
Could be.
Oh, no. It's called Sigmund and the Sea Monsters.
Oh.
American children's television series that ran from 73 to 75.
Oh, before my time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, these things, wow. Man, kids got messed up watching this thing. This is some frightening stuff, Matt.
I'll have to look that up later.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Trinka says, I've been thinking of name ideas for your squid mascot all week. I've looked up names of water deities and read up on some of the different mythologies to try to find an epic name, and nothing seemed to fit. The squid you have is so darn cute. So I'm just going to say I'd name him Henry. Henry the Squid.
Henry the Squid.
That would be confusing for me because Becca has a cow named Henry. So.
Wait, like a live cow?
No, a stuffed cow that she made.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you never know. I mean,
I
know what kind of livestock you guys keep out there in Wisconsin.
Usually, if it's around the house, people keep like chickens or goats. Sure. Something more useful than. Well, I mean, cows are useful, but
yeah,
they're big.
Dairy cows.
Yep. Rihanna says, I couldn't think of anything, so I asked my husband, and he said Squidward. So I'm going to go with Squidward the second.
All right.
And you sent me a picture. Oh, Sigmund and the Sea Monsters.
How frightening is that?
That's quite interesting. That's kind of messed up.
Now here's the thing: is the kid named Sigmund, or is that pile of sea debris Sigmund, and he hangs out with other sea monsters? You know?
Yeah.
I'm very confused by this.
Yeah, I really don't know.
I like the name though.
I'm curious though if my parents remember that or something. Because that would be closer to their generation at least.
70s were a weird time, man.
Yeah. Nicole says, I think the name for the new mascot should be Squiffle because it's a squid that belongs to Hufflepuff.
To be totally honest, Hufflepuff don't own squid. We care for squid.
Fair enough.
Squid Liberation Act.
Oh boy. From Harry, not Potter. He's going to go with Archie T. Ducks, or just Archie.
Okay.
Based off of, wow, he even says good luck pronouncing that. It's the scientific name for a giant squid. Okay. Something along the lines of Architeuthis ducks.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Says it looks like it's rooted in Latin, which is a very JK way of naming things. So.
Everybody went to Latin, man. I'm serious. I'm going to have to take a class on Latin just to keep up with our emailers at this point. Like, not even for the book's sake, just for you guys out there listening.
Tanya says, I have a few name suggestions. The first two are from my 4.5-year-old.
Okay.
So her 4.5-year-old recommended Bluey or Squishy.
I like Squishy.
And then she also, I believe, looks like went with the Latin archetythesis. I don't know Latin. That one, Archie. What is this? The following come in variety of entertainment. She also sent a link to squidsquid.com.
Oh boy. That sounds dangerous.
Find out your squid name.
Oh.
And okay, so I guess she entered. So there's like a first name, last name, and then you click get name, and she gave me 2 results here.
Okay.
One for Matt Josh.
Okay.
I guess the squid name would be Dances with Cephalopods. And then Muggle Josh is Inky Muggle the Engulfer.
That's a whole mouthful of words.
Yeah.
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 But creative.
So if you want to try that out, though, squidsquid.com.
There's a website for everything, isn't there?
Yeah, pretty much. Lauren also went with Archie after the scientific name. And she made another connection. And our friend Archie from the World Cup.
Oh, yeah, him.
You remember him?
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was meant to believe he was not important enough to remember too far. So.
And the final entry then was from Kale, who says we should call it Ginny, the giant squid.
Ginny, the giant squid. I like that. Solid names, everybody. Fantastic job, except Alex. But everybody else did a wonderful, wonderful job. But Squidly it is. Like, I feel like that's the most appropriate. Dumb luck kind of stumbled on the creator being able to name it after the fact.
I don't know how you pulled that one off.
It's some things just, can't be explained, Matt. But here we are. Squidly the squid.
It's just like magic.
So thank you for everybody participating. Thank you to the winner, of course. Thank you to Becca for not only making Squidly, but then naming Squidly as well. And should have some fun with Squidly going forward, I think. Stay tuned for the end of the show. We have another giveaway to do this week. This giveaway will not be part of the audience champion tournament that we have going on. It will just be a normal standard giveaway, but it will be a very fun prize, something that we haven't given away yet. And we will do something unique and fun with it as well. So stay tuned for the end of the show as always. But before then, we have to do what we're supposed to do. And let's talk about a couple of chapters here, Matt. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, chapters 20 and 21. Let's do it.
All right, chapter 20, the first task.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I hope you see why I had to cut off last week's reading where I did.
Whew, boy. I was concerned after last week that there was going to be filler in between...
Yeah.
The events of like Harry finding out about the dragons and then actually having to take on the dragon. So I was not excited going into this reading because I didn't think that we were going to start off with the chapter about the dragons.
Sure.
Pleasantly surprised I was, Matt.
That's good to hear. Always good to hear.
Yes. Did we have any new characters?
No.
Okay.
At least not that I wrote down.
Okay.
So
good.
Yeah, we're getting into those chapters where it's just like pure action moving forward in the story, not introducing new characters. So,
yeah, which is good. Well, starting off, Matt. Another thing that I kind of predicted last week would happen, and that's Hermione coming to the rescue and trying to help Harry figure out how to take on the dragon.
Yeah, makes sense.
It was obvious, right? I mean, of course she's going to help. She's Hermione. This is what she lives
she's gonna
for.
Do what she can.
Yeah. So they're pouring through all these different books in the library, right?
Yeah.
First they're reading all these books on dragons, and then they're going a different route and trying to figure out other spells and whatnot that could help against dragons, but aren't necessarily found in dragon books. But one of the titles of the books that they were reading is a little questionable. I'm not really sure what it's necessarily doing in that library, or what the purpose of the book is, or who wrote it.
Exactly.
There's so many questions I have about this, and we'll probably never hear from this book again. But Men Who Love Dragons Too Much.
Yeah.
Just so many things packed into that title, Matt.
It sounds like a book about Hagrid.
Yes.
And possibly yourself.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. I don't know Newt's relationship with dragons. Like, were those creatures that he got into it all, or he stayed away from those ones because they were, the mainstream magical creatures, and he's more of like the gritty underground magical creature type of guy.
Well, I mean, I think, I think people have known about dragons for longer and understand them a little bit more.
Yeah.
While they probably still fear them, they are, I think, unlike some of his other Fantastic Beasts, they are like, they should be feared a little bit more than some of his other beasts. Like, everything he keeps in that case, he basically has tamed.
Right.
Whether they are that way naturally, or they just calm down for Newt.
Yeah. And I feel like everybody kind of respects dragons already. He didn't need to crusade about
exactly
why people shouldn't try to exterminate dragons.
Yeah.
But, other creatures like Nifflers, like, yeah, let's have a conversation about these guys, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know who wrote this book. I don't know what this book is about. I don't know who the book is for.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of questions. It's like it's a very well written headline.
Yeah.
You want to know more.
Yeah. Oh, so much more. And I just have a feeling I will never get that information. So it's kind of a shame, Matt. Yeah. Maybe I'll have to write it.
There you go. Another idea.
Question.
Yes.
So Harry and Hermione are poring over all these books and trying to figure out the best way to go about handling this dragon situation. And I had the thought, and I don't know if there's an answer. I don't know if it's an answer that you could give me or will give me. But it kind of got explained a little bit later when Harry talked about how he was only able to have his wand with him while taking on the dragon.
Yeah.
But could somebody use an invisibility cloak? Are dragons capable of seeing through invisibility cloaks a la Professor Moody? Would that work on a dragon? Are their senses, their smell and everything more intense, so it wouldn't even matter one way or the other?
Yeah, I think I want to say that the invisibility cloak would probably work against dragon to a certain extent.
Okay.
Like you said, their other senses, they might be able to notice something's up. They did make a big point that these are all nesting mothers.
Right.
So they're super protective of these eggs.
Yep.
And like we see when Harry's going at it that he can't do anything until the dragon moves, really. Like,
right.
You need the dragon to move. So even if you could stealthily sneak in there, there's probably still not a great chance you're grabbing the egg you want without anything going wrong.
Sure.
Because he was thinking, like, yeah, he could probably be fast enough to get down there, but then he's like, can get swatted or something, or fire or something like that.
Right. You need an opening.
Yeah, but I kind of just think, like, the dragon breathing normally, even if they're not breathing fire, just the that's a big beast.
Mm-hmm.
So them just breathing in and out has got to cause a pretty good gust of wind.
Sure. Which
could also, like, blow the cloak that you're on.
Right.
Like, I don't know if I would trust that.
No.
Now, could Harry have tried that? I don't see why not.
I mean, if he kept it in like the pocket of his robe, like, could he have pulled it out?
I mean, he could have used the same spell, I think. Why couldn't he?
That's true.
It's a summoning charm. He can summon what we've seen. We saw Mrs. Weasley. She was the first one we saw use it at the beginning of this book.
That's true.
You can use it to summon whatever you want. That's why it's always Accio whatever you want.
I feel like you'd have a hard time catching it, though.
Possibly, yeah. But I mean, I guess the other thing is too, if he uses it in the tournament, he's letting the entire school know that he has it.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
Unless nobody had really, understood what was going on.
Potentially, if he just all of a sudden if the cloak actually came straight to him and it just covered him right away and he just kind of disappeared. Yeah, people could be a little bit confused.
Sure.
But as it is, there are a very limited amount of people who know that he has that thing.
Yeah.
And I would want to keep that as secret as much as possible.
Right.
Plus, I don't think I'd risk it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Do invisibility cloaks burn?
I don't know.
What if it catches fire?
What they're made of.
I don't want to risk that.
No. I mean, he probably made the right decision, but maybe he's saving it for later on in the tournament. We don't know what other tasks there are going to be ahead, so
we don't.
We'll see.
Yeah,
it was just something I was thinking about as I was trying to piece through.
Definitely. Because that's half the fun in this chapter. Reading through the first time, it's like trying to figure out, okay, if I were in Harry's position, what would I be doing?
Right. Well, and you also have to remember at this point, we didn't know exactly what the task was. Harry didn't even know what the task was. Like, all he knew is that he was going to have to get by a dragon. Exactly.
Yeah, and that's something I noticed too. Like when McGonagall was bringing him, like they were summoning the champions or whatever, and like the way she's talking, it just seemed really kind of off to me. It's like, but then I realized Harry's not supposed to know about the dragons yet.
Right.
And McGonagall is under the assumption that he doesn't know. And so all her speech is tiptoeing around. Like, I think by this point she knows what's going on, what's going to happen, but she's trying not to spoil the surprise.
Right.
And she's like, yes, they need to like tell you something, or they'll let you know what to do once you get there.
Right.
And it's like, okay, like it because from Harry's perspective, like you said, we've known about dragons for the past couple of chapters.
Right.
And so it's like, of course, everybody knows now, but not everybody knows that everybody knows.
Sure. But also, I mean, just getting the golden egg was a twist that Harry didn't know was coming, and we don't think any of the champions probably knew that was part of it. Yeah.
I mean, like, you kind of figured it wasn't going to be, like, kill the dragon, like that.
I assumed there's just, like, an exit on the other side of a dragon, and you just had to bob and weave your way past it.
Yeah. Like, put you in this small enclosed room and try to get past the dragon.
Yep. Which, I mean, to be fair, wouldn't be the first time we've seen that in this series, so. Fluffy. Good old Fluffy. Okay, this is going to be controversial, Matt, but it needs to be said.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Well, it's true. Probably not the last time tonight either. Everybody at Hogwarts seems to be reading a paper. Or has read a paper. Called the Daily Prophet. Everybody tends, from what it seems, to read Rita Skeeter's work. Now, you could question her methods. You could question her morals. You could question her authenticity if you want. But what you cannot question, and ever argue, is the fact that Rita Skeeter gets readers reading. And you know what? Ultimately, that's what it's all about, Matt.
So,
is an article an article if nobody reads it? If a tree falls in the woods and nobody's around to hear it, did it really fall? I don't know.
Yeah, I write those articles all the time. People don't read them. I understand this. But yeah, it's still an article. And I mean, you have to look at the flip side of things. Millions of people, I'm pretty sure, read articles written on The Onion. Mm-hmm. Does that make them true? Does that make the? I mean, just because they're entertaining, people read them. When things go viral, people read them. More people than would on an average basis.
What I'm saying is, if she was so bad, would she have the readership that she does? No, I argue, no.
There are... I can't give you a good example right now. She has made a name for herself. Mm-hmm. Now, I would argue that it's not necessarily a good name, but she has made a name for herself.
Okay.
And once that happens, people pay attention.
Right.
And in this specific instance, like there are people at Hogwarts who regularly get the Daily Prophet delivered to them.
Yeah.
We've seen Harry, Ron, and Hermione reading articles from time to time. But once you find out that there's an article about one of your classmates in the Daily Prophet, mm-hmm. Of course everybody's going to read it.
Sure.
Like just the fact that there was a reporter at school, that there's a big event at school.
Right.
Yeah, everybody's going to order tomorrow's paper. If you can order on a daily basis. I don't know how their paper works, but...
Probably lock you into a 3-year contract.
That'd be the way to do it, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, it's... I guess, yeah, I can't argue that she sells papers.
Yeah.
But I don't think that gives her any more credibility.
Again, credibility is completely subjective.
It can't be completely subjective.
Mostly subjective. But numbers don't lie. And subscriptions through the roof at this point. Why? Because of Rita Skeeter. Just tossing that out there.
I mean,
her fantastic reporting is something that people crave and need and desire, and she delivers.
I will tell you that the Daily Prophet is already kind of the biggest paper out there.
Right.
There are other papers, and we will even encounter some of them along the way. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the Daily Prophet is definitely the biggest paper that we know of.
Right. And I only know one name associated with the reason why, and that's Rita Skeeter, my friend. Transitioning here just a little bit. I am incredibly happy that Harry decided to tell Cedric about the dragons.
Yeah. It was the right thing to do. And Harry, more often than not, I think when he has the chance to do the right thing, he does it. Yes. I think we've kind of seen that.
But he's also been in a weird spot the last few days, with his ongoing feud with Ron, and,
It's true.
There's a lot of things weighing on him at this point, and tracking down Cedric and going through the trouble to get him to stop so that he could talk to him individually to tell him about the dragons, that was above and beyond.
That was the biggest roadblock, I think, for him, is he didn't want to do it in front of a huge crowd.
Right.
And so getting Cedric by himself was the toughest task.
Yeah.
Which I think clever little bit of magic and thinking on his feet there on how to get him alone.
Right.
Which something, his exact solution, at least, he couldn't really pull off without magic. So that's interesting to think about, too. But
yeah. So I'm glad it happened. Cedric deserved to know. He should not have been the only one of the 4 champions to not know what to at least prepare for a little bit. Again, he didn't know what the exact task would be, but at least knowing that there's dragons involved, you can kind of steer your preparation to a specific point. So,
yeah, he was still. He was at least, again, on level playing ground with everybody else.
Yeah.
None of them knew exactly what the task was going to be.
Right.
They all just knew that dragons were involved.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can figure out ways to get past dragons or way to defend yourself against dragons or something.
Yeah. This eventually led to Harry hanging out in Professor Moody's office.
Yep.
With Professor Moody, of course, not alone. That'd be weird.
But yeah, Moody kind of overheard him telling Cedric even.
Yeah. And I think Moody appreciated it. He was like,
Yeah, Moody was very much on board with that.
You're a stand-up guy, Mr. Harry Potter. I like that. And then we got a glimpse of, the office, the infamous office,
Yes.
We don't know what the office was decorated like when Professor Quirrell was there.
Yep.
Probably a bunch of horrible Slytherin things, I'm sure. What was he associated with the house?
Quirrell?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think, but let me double check.
Nothing we ever knew of, at least.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever mentioned in the books.
Okay.
But
because I know each house has a head of the house, but it seems like all the professors are still associated with the house at some point.
Yeah.
Except Trelawney. There's no way she's associated with any of those 4 houses.
Quirrell was actually a Ravenclaw.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that once again, that was a Pottermore reference. So
sure.
It was something we found afterwards, but
okay.
Yeah.
So his office was empty then, because but then we had a flashback of Lockhart and Lupin's office and how they decorated, which made me sad. Made me mad and then sad, within the same breath,
Sure.
Just Lockhart, man, still Lockhart. That was a treat, wasn't it? So then Moody's office is just filled with a whole bunch of random weird items and objects and things.
Dark detectors.
Yeah. Moody's a character, isn't he?
Yeah.
I want to know what his house looks like. If he went to the trouble of decorating his office with his stuff, I want to see his house, where it's just
you see,
newspaper clippings all over,
I kind of figure he brought as much stuff as he could cram. In my head, his office is there's just that one path. It's like a teenager's bedroom.
Yeah.
There's just one path from the door to the bed.
Right.
Or in the case of the office, from the door to his desk, that's cleared, and everything else is just jam-packed with all stuff he his dark detectors he brought from home.
You can never be too careful.
Yeah. I mean, it would be fascinating, I think, to spend more time in there.
Right.
But yeah, we got the note of just 3 of them this time. The secrecy sensor, the sneakoscope, and the faux glass.
Mm-hmm. My favorite thing about these was him just flat out saying that they're all worthless at Hogwarts because all the kids are lying and up to something at some point or another. So it's just like
the secrecy sensor. It's like it's been humming constantly because of course all these kids are keeping secrets. That's what they do. The sneakoscope, Fred and George are around.
Yeah,
that's all you need. I mean, like he said, it was better than the little trinket one Harry had.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've seen the sneakoscope before.
Yeah,
but I think he said this one could have like a 1 mile radius or something.
Right.
Like that's a pretty good sneakoscope there.
Yeah, which Harry's we assumed was probably like proximity, like arm's length or something.
Yeah, exactly. And like we determined Harry's was going off so much because Scabbers was in the room.
Right.
And that he was doing all the untrustworthy stuff. That's why I was going off the entire time.
Yeah, in Ron's pocket, who's usually right next to Harry.
Yep, and the first time was when they're on the train and they're in that compartment.
Right.
Yeah, it didn't have a big range on it, but there's just always the rat was there. So
yeah, a lot of cool stuff. But that kind of. Do you want to do the Muggle poll now?
Sure.
Or you want to wait till the end of the talk? Because I feel like that's what the Muggle poll was about.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, we can pull it off now.
Okay.
So this week's Muggle poll was actually about those dark detectors. I wanted to know if Moody walked up to you and said you can have one of these, just one, and he lets you keep one of these dark detectors, which one would you take? So the secrecy sensor, the sneakoscope, or the faux glass?
Now, okay. I don't think I quite fully understood what the faux glass was and how it works.
So the faux glass, it basically looks like a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
But as Harry said, when he looked at it, he could just kind of see a bunch of shadowy figures.
Right.
But the thing would be when one of these figures starts to get clearer, you'd be able to tell who or what it is.
Right.
And that means that's one of your enemies. And the clearer they become, the closer they are to you.
Oh, faux, F-O-E.
Yes.
Oh, see,
I sometimes forget that you're not reading this.
Exactly. So in my head, it's F-A-U-X.
Oh, no. F-O-E. F-O-E glass.
That makes way more sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see it making sense your way since he described it as a mirror that wasn't a mirror, so it'd be faux glass.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, but who are the people? I don't understand. What are we trying to see here? Just, okay. Yeah. That makes way more sense.
So yeah, when he says you don't really have to worry until you see the whites of their eyes or something like that.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting there worry about what? Are there people trapped in there? I don't understand.
No, it means that there's danger nearby. Yeah.
Oh goodness gracious, that clears so many things up.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, that's definitely my answer now.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique one. I mean, they're all kind of unique.
Right.
But yeah, oddly enough, though, the sneakoscope won.
Oh, okay.
47% for the sneakoscope.
Wow.
29 for the faux glass and 24 for the secrecy sensor.
Sure.
I kind of figured, the secrecy sensor. It's going to go off all the time at Hogwarts, but just about anywhere you go, I think it's going to go off.
Yeah.
That one I would almost want a shorter range on.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're sitting across the room from someone
and
you're talking with them, you can tell if they're it's a lie detector.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
but be able to tune it down a little bit if need be.
Yeah. The sneakoscope. I honestly, I'd probably vote for the sneakoscope.
Yeah.
We've seen that in action before. It works. It gives you an idea of untrustworthy people around.
Right.
So, but yeah, the faux glass, it definitely in close second for me. So
yeah. Well, again, it makes way more sense when you know how it's spelled.
Yeah. Speaking of spellings, I was going to mention this to you too. I glanced through your notes this week.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned Dobby a lot.
Yeah.
Dobby has 2 B's.
I know.
Okay.
I fixed it after the fact, after I sent it over, because it was still like redlining, and I'm like, what is going on?
Sure.
Yeah, then I corrected it afterwards.
Okay. Yeah, because I thought I'm pretty sure you had typed that one before, but that's when it hit me again that you're not actually reading this, you're not seeing the words in front of you, so you're just going off of sound, and it's like, okay, you can spell it however you want.
Yeah, and it's tough, Matt, because tempting to pull up Google sometimes.
Yeah, but when we're making up words all the time,
right? Yeah. I'll stop Val every once in a while and be like, "How is that spelled?" Because I am not sure what's going on.
Yeah.
Notice you'll never see me write Fleur de la Fleur anywhere.
Fleur de la Cour.
Yeah, it's just nope, that's not happening. Don't even want to start with that. Well, cool. Thank you to everybody that participated in the Muggle Poll, as always. Matt puts it up 4 p.m. Pacific time every Monday before we record, and usually we're not recording so early in the evening, and we have a few more hours for it to play out, but definitely appreciate everybody having fun and participating with that. So,
yep.
Back to Professor Moody.
Yes.
I feel like there's one big takeaway from his little pep talk that he gave to Harry.
Yeah.
You aren't trying if you're not cheating.
Yeah, that was a major point he made. Cheating is a traditional part of the Triwizard Tournament and always has been. Okay.
As long as everybody agrees to that, and is on the up and up, like, okay.
Yeah.
Is it cheating at that point,
Exactly. Well, I mean...
Competitive advantage.
Yeah, it's not, like, written... I mean...
You know what's the equivalent of, Matt?
What?
You know what it's the equivalent of?
What's that?
Putting stickum on your receiver's gloves in the NFL.
But that is cheating.
But it's not illegal. Like, everybody has that stickum stuff on their gloves.
No. You're not allowed to have any foreign substance.
Matt, not allowed. I understand what you're saying. But everybody does it, and nobody gets punished for it, ever.
I'm sure... I think there have been some cases where they've at least tested the gloves.
Yeah. Probably just because somebody said something. But, like, let's be real.
Have you seen Odell Beckham?
Right. I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure they've tested his gloves.
What up, Matt? Okay. What I'm saying is, even if there's not a foreign substance on them, the gloves that they make for receivers...
Yes, I will give you that.
Those are specifically designed to be a little more tacky than you would normally think gloves should be.
Absolutely. They are specifically made as football wide receiver gloves.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like that, yeah.
So is that cheating?
No.
It's competitive advantage.
Yeah. I see. I know what you're getting at.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's kind of part of the game too. I think that's why the headmasters have fun with it.
Sure.
Like they get to play along as well. It's not just the champions that are in this.
Right.
The headmasters want to win just as much or even more than the champions.
Sure. Which we'll talk about that in a little bit. About the headmaster's role in this whole tournament, because I have some beef with some information that we got, but
okay.
So Matt and I basically telling Harry, like, look, just cheat. Like, everybody's doing it. All the cool kids are. You could do it too.
But you see, that's the strange part is, Mad Eye gives generic advice.
Yeah.
Doesn't tell him strictly what to do.
No.
Where I get the feeling, at least, like we don't see it directly, but I get the feeling that as soon as Maxim and Karkaroff found out, that they're telling their students exactly what to do.
Sure. And then at the same time, who's having this pep talk with Cedric? Nobody.
Yeah.
You know.
And I mean,
the Fat Friar? No.
You can. I mean, I think part of it is Moody feels that Cedric, being of age, is a little more well prepared than Harry is.
Probably.
And Moody just wants to make sure Harry's going to stay alive.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of acting as a guardian here, you know, like.
But, I mean, we've kind of talked about that. That's kind of why Dumbledore brought him in.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we need you to make sure nothing goes on here.
Right.
Keep everybody alive for 1 year.
And I don't think anybody's like really actively thinking Harry Potter can win this whole thing. I think it's more, like you said, trying to keep him alive.
Yeah.
Like,
just survive.
If you're fourth place, that's fine as long as you're not dead. So,
yep.
You know, let's stick to that and we'll be okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, Harry kind of reads between the lines with Moody and figures out that flying is what he's best at, and being able to use his broom while trying to get past the dragon is what he needs to attempt to do. Him and Hermione then start working on some magic to be able to summon something, an object, with a simple spell to make it come to you.
Yeah.
A lot of hard work went into this.
Yeah. And this is where I've seen way too many 80s movies.
Yeah.
And this just plays out in my head as a montage every time.
Here's my beef with it, though, Matt.
What's that?
The moment when Hermione was like, Harry, I think you got this. Like, you're totally going to be okay. Was when he was able to make a dictionary fly across the room.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, okay, good for you, Harry. But why aren't we practicing with your firebolt? Like, why could we not try, you know, moving that thing across the room just to see if you can, you know?
I mean, it's a longer object, but it's not any less. I like, dictionaries are pretty hefty.
Yeah, but there's just a little thing that just in my mind would be, I just want to make sure I could do this with a broomstick.
Sure.
You know? Yeah. Like, that's what you're going to be summoning. Like, let me just try it at least once.
I can see one to try it, but I can also see not wanting to give away your plan. Because, like, do you really want your broomstick flying, like, down the staircase into the common room?
No, but, like, maybe there's enough room in the Gryffindor common room to do it where you could trust everybody.
Just across the room or something?
Yeah, just to be able to say, okay, I feel like I got this now.
Yeah.
You know?
It's more exciting this way.
I know, but it's like, if you're training for a hot dog eating competition, you don't want to just stop at eating the little Smokies and say, you know what, I got this. You know, I just ate the entire...
I thought you were going to tell me you don't train for a hot dog eating contest by eating tacos.
No, Matt. Comparisons here. You know, little Smokies, you eat a whole crock pot full of them, you're just like, okay, I am totally ready for this hot dog eating competition. Well, are you? Are you really? Yeah. Maybe. But maybe you should just pound down a hot dog real quick and just know the feeling of swallowing a whole hot dog whole in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Makes sense.
All right. First task time.
It is.
It's time for some dragons. I was a little nervous that we were going to get a big old swerve. You know, like that Harry was preparing for something that wasn't actually going to happen.
Sure.
And he was going to look dumb and then, like, anger Cedric because Cedric would be like, you told me there was dragons here. He's like, I thought there was dragons.
That's
and now
what they told me.
Yeah, you know.
But you see, like, I'm pretty sure that the entire staff knew what was going on ahead of time.
Yeah.
So Hagrid brought him there purposely at that time because it was going to be the first task, dragons.
But maybe dragons were task number 2.
He never specifically said it, but I mean, I think he would have waited because I'm pretty sure the staff has like the whole year mapped out. Because we see at the end of the next chapter, like the next task, or at the end of this chapter even, I think, the next task isn't for many months.
3 months, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Which, in my head, I'm thinking the next task is, like, next week.
Yeah, but they got to make it last all year, which is another point I can talk about later. But
also, hold on. Can I just point out the fact that you just said that Hagrid would wait to show Harry dragons? There's not a chance in the world that Hagrid is waiting for any reason at all.
I bet you Hagrid's known about this for a couple weeks at least.
Yeah, but once the dragons got there, he was jumping up and down. He's like, oh my God, I'm good. Oh, I need to show Harry. I need to show Harry. I need to show Harry.
Okay, well, there's another thing. Why would they have brought the dragons in 3 months ahead of time?
Well, again, in my head, at this point, the next task is the next week. So I'm like, you know, maybe they need to wait for them to lay all the eggs needed to be able to do this, you know?
Yeah.
There was reasons I could justify a swerve here. And I'm just saying, it felt like there might be, there wasn't. I'm glad everything was on the up and up.
Sure.
But you never know. JK's tricky.
Yeah.
You know, got me all excited with like a chapter and a half of Dragon Talk and then drop the hammer that, just kidding. Go Denoma Garden. Fastest one wins.
So my least favorite part going into, well, once we get into this task, is that, so Harry kind of hears the Bagman commentating.
Yeah.
But we don't get to actually see what's going on.
Right.
And I understand, once again, we're always getting this from Harry's point of view. Like that, the entire books are really from Harry's point of view.
Sure.
But I want to be able to see what's going on.
I love the tension so much. Like I was mad. I understand what you're saying. Like I want to know I want to see. I want to know what's going on. But then I'm just, like 3 of them down. What happened? How did it all go down? What did they do? Which is why I was extra thankful for Ron giving Harry the recap afterwards, because I'm just like, oh, okay, that all makes total sense. But
getting it from Ron's point of view is amazing too.
Yeah, but I felt like the tension buildup of not knowing what's going on, other than like the results, was very important to kind of the feeling of Harry finally walking through the tent and into the arena.
And Harry didn't even really know the results other than they got the egg.
Right.
That's all he knows. He doesn't know score. He doesn't know how they did it. He doesn't know how they came out of it.
He knows nobody died.
Yeah. he knows the first 3 got their egg.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I love Bagman is just like obsessed with like commentating. Like he had to do the commenting for this. Like, yeah,
he was not going to let anybody else touch. Well,
I mean, Lee Jordan was available.
The microphone,
I'm sure.
But yeah, he doesn't use a microphone.
Yeah.
Or at least I'm assuming he does. He didn't at the World Cup, so I'm assuming he doesn't here.
Yeah. I just, Lee Jordan doing this would have been fun.
Yes,
he would have been so excited.
Yeah. But I mean, Bagman was still okay.
Yeah, no, it was fine.
I mean, Lee Jordan obviously would have been better.
Lee Jordan would have got ahead of himself, I think, and like would have started talking about like the play-by-play details of what was going on with the dragons.
Yeah, McGonagall would have slapped him up the head too many times.
So we're finding out that all 3 are completing the task. We know roughly how long it took each one to do it.
Yep.
We know that they got scored of some sort, but we don't know anything. Is it based on skill? Is it based on time? Is it showmanship? What are the factors going into how the scores work?
And that part is a little odd that we didn't know that. Like, I feel that something probably just in the tent ahead of time, they should have told the champions like how they're being scored.
Yeah, what are they going for? What should they try to do here?
Yeah. Like, if you want to keep it a secret up to that point, fine.
Yeah.
Because they didn't even tell them, oh, you have to get this egg until they got in the tent.
Mm-hmm.
So, sure, fine. You don't let them plan for it.
Or maybe tell each one as they leave the first tent and they start to enter the next one. That way the last three, the ones afterwards don't have extra time to prepare.
Well, a little bit, but I think the dragons were kind of lined up from easiest to hardest. Because the dragons themselves that they pulled out of the bag were all numbered.
Right.
They were pre-numbered.
Right.
So they knew the Hungarian Horntail was going to go fourth because it was the worst as the grand finale.
Right.
And so
but
you...
What I'm saying is, like, Victor and Harry, they could have sat there and said, okay, if we're getting scored on showmanship, I need to do this, this, and this. Whereas if you're thinking about that seconds before you go into the tent, equally with everybody else, you don't have that.
I understand,
advantage.
but that's what I'm saying. Giving someone a worse dragon and then giving them a little more time to think about it evens that out as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, I mean, that came down to Harry finally entering the battle arena. I can't wait to see this in the movie. And if it's not in the movie, Matt...
Okay, if this is not in the movie, there's something wrong.
Tables will flip and things will be burnt. Because, like, this whole chapter was just so good, and I need to see this dragon showdown.
Yeah, I'll just tell you now, there is no Triwizard Tournament in the movie. They just replaced it with a big Quidditch match between all four houses.
Oh, it's possible. There would be no quicker way to make me never watch another Harry Potter movie than to do that. Just, how disappointing would that be?
Yeah. I don't know if they would have been able to make a fifth movie if they did that.
The fan base would be up in arms.
Yeah.
No, this sounds super fun. Harry is doing his thing on the broomstick. I thought he was going to go for that infamous dive. That
Wronski feint?
Yes. I thought that was going to get pulled into this because of how much attention has been put on it early on the book.
Sure.
And he didn't quite do it, but it's kind of alluded to that he was doing
exactly.
Some cool
like they did talk about a dive, and he pulled out of it just in time.
Yeah.
They didn't mention it by name, but
right.
It had to be close.
Sure.
I mean, it's how much can you trick a dragon into, like, the dragon at the time I think was still sitting on the ground.
Yeah.
So it's like its head was kind of following you. I'm like, okay, and you're going down. Oh, you went back up.
Right.
Like it's not like the dragon was flying behind him and couldn't pull up in time.
Sure. I just felt like it was the perfect opportunity to come full circle with that little maneuver.
Oh yeah.
So Harry got the egg. Everything's golden.
I did golden. I did like Bagman's comment that when Harry started flying, something like are you seeing this, Victor, or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I felt like he was like, I mean, it was almost a Lee Jordan moment.
Yeah.
Where it's like he's kind of mocking Crumb and saying, "You see, this is how it's supposed to be done."
Right.
And you're in the pros, and he's still in school. Come on.
Yeah. Like, if anybody should have been flying, it should have been him.
Yeah. You would think so, and I think Harry even kind of wondered the same thing. It's like, why didn't Crumb think of that?
Yeah. Well, that's because we found out that Crumb went the aggressive route and decided to try to just destroy a dragon.
course you would.
But before we get to that,
okay.
I need to point out the fact that Madame Pomfrey,
yeah,
bless her heart, she's doing wonderful work, keeping everybody alive and safe and healthy. But she absolutely hates anything fun and cool going on at Hogwarts.
Well, I think that tends to make her job harder.
That's true.
So
the moment excitement starts to happen, her office suddenly gets a little bit more busy.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm glad she's there, though. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Need her on hand at all times.
Then the moment that I've been waiting for chapters now, Matt. Chapters! I've been waiting for this.
Yeah?
Ron and Harry are back together.
It's true.
Like, all it took was Harry, risking his life flying around a giant dragon.
Yeah, Ron finally realizing just how dangerous this is and why would Harry want to do this.
Right. Harry's just trying to stay alive. I was worried this was going to carry on far too long, and I'm glad that we got them reunited right here in this moment. Like, everybody's excited. There's energy, and
Harry can actually enjoy this.
Yeah, and like, it would have been bittersweet if he had looked over and Ron was just grumpy and mad and turning his back on him after this whole thing.
Yeah.
So, like, Ron being there and, like, congratulating him and them having their little dumb moment just allowed everybody to soak it in. Hermione's quote, "You two are too stupid." Yes, they were dumb 14-year-old boys. Like,
yep.
She's just, like, bawling her eyes out. She's like, "I'm so happy you guys are friends again. Like, I've been, dying on the inside watching this whole thing and, like, trying to take the place of Ron." And, like, she's just, like, there's this giant weight off of her shoulders now. And,
Yeah, and Ron and Harry are kind of standing there and it's like, well, we knew we'd get back together eventually. What's the big deal? What you making such a big fuss about?
Because it's Hermione, that's why.
Yeah.
So then, Ron was giving Harry the play-by-play of what happened. Fascinating strategies all the way around.
Yeah.
Cedric turning a rock into a dog. Like, that's awesome.
I'm impressed how many different ways J.K. came up with to try to get past dragons.
Yeah. It made me a little nervous thinking that, like, the dog might get killed by this dragon. Like, is that an actual life that's being taken at that point, or is it still a rock?
Exactly. Like, transfiguring a rock into a living creature, it's like, I don't know exactly how that works.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about that.
Like, I'll just consider it a rock.
Yeah.
It's better that way.
Lets me sleep at night.
Yep.
And then Fleur de la Fleur. Fleur de la Cour.
There you go.
Try putting the dragon to sleep.
Yep.
Solid. I like it. And then Victor, just straight up, I'm just going to shoot the dragon's eye. I'm going to be super aggressive. I'm going to make the dragon stumble around and stomp on its baby dragons. Like, there's a whole lot of messed up things going on here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those Durmstrang kids, they dark and cold souls up there.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Not a fan. Val and I were talking about this, and she was like, it's pretty messed up that the dragon, like, stomped on its own eggs and killed its own little dragon babies. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty messed up. And in my head, I want to believe that Charlie and the rest of the dragon keepers were able to plant some replica eggs in the nest and take out the baby dragons as a safety precaution when they were bringing in the golden egg, of course.
Sure.
Does that make me feel better a little bit? No dragons were harmed in the making of this book, but it probably didn't happen that way.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's the case.
Yeah.
There's a reason, like they said, that you weren't supposed to harm any of the other eggs.
Yeah.
In the process of recovering this one.
Right.
And it was due to Crumb's carelessness, and that's why he got points docked. It's not what you're supposed to do.
Speaking of points getting docked.
Yep.
I understand Crouch and Bagman being judges here.
Sure.
Throwing up scores. I
think you kind of listed them as potential impartial judges before. So.
Yeah, they don't have a dog in the race per se. I do, however, have a serious issue with the headmasters also being judges.
Yeah.
Now, I know, like, in the Olympics, per se, like the Muggle Olympics, right?
Yep.
You have international judges from several different countries that are part of each panel of judges for each sport, each competition that's going on.
Yes.
And there's always some biased and some questionable scores sometimes by certain judges that don't seem to really fit until you look at, like, who's, going for gold and silver and whatnot. But at least those judges, like, they may have ties to, like, their home country, but they're not, like, the coaches of the athletes, right?
Sure.
And that's kind of, like, what this is going on, is, like, the headmasters, like, these champions are, like, that's representing them, and it just seems weird that they're all judges.
Well, I think the equalizing factor is that they are all judges.
Yes.
Like
and they cancel each other out.
Yeah, they each have a third of that vote. Like, Dumbledore could have given Crumb a 4.
Yeah.
If he wanted to.
Sure.
I mean, Dumbledore is more honest than that, I think.
Right.
He kept saying he wanted to play things fair and he wasn't going to cheat and that type of thing. I believe it was Karkaroff who mentioned that. It's like, he can be as, high and mighty as he wants, but
yeah. But I mean, like, you could just look at the score that he gave Victor. He gave him a 10, and he didn't do it as fast as Harry, and definitely not as graceful as Harry. And then he gave Harry a 4, which, oddly enough, was the exact score needed to have a two-way tie at first place with Victor.
Which, you have to give him something. That he didn't give him a 3 and say,
sure.
Yeah, you're going to be in second.
But the fact that he was able to vote last or give his score last meant that he was able to add up the scores real quick as they're coming in and adjust his score accordingly. So I think that could be worked out differently, like maybe make Crouch and Bagman the final 2 judges in the row, or
just have it all blind,
or have them all 5 put up the scores at the exact same time.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel right doing it this way, and I understand it adds to the story a little bit and makes it more interesting. But from a realistic point of view, I'm just having a hard time saying this is okay.
I understand.
Yeah.
It's always the Russian judge.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, I didn't want to go there, but yeah. I mean, look back to every Olympic Games, and there's some.
I kind of wonder if J.K. wrote that in a little bit. Like, we don't know exactly where Karkaroff is from,
right?
But we kind of assume it's that general region.
Yeah.
And as soon as you put a Russian judge in the seat, like, there's memes about that.
Yeah.
Like, for a reason.
I just wanted more. I just wanted it to be better, but whatever. It makes the story interesting. There's a 2-way tie, and we have to wait 3 months until the next task. Blah, blah, blah.
So my biggest question, though, about this first task is what happens if someone didn't get their egg, couldn't get their egg? I mean, not necessarily that they were killed, but can they give up without getting their egg?
Probably.
Or is it egg or die?
You could probably toss in the towel and say, you know what? Nah, this isn't for me.
So then do they just not get the egg?
Yeah.
Do they give it to him anyway at the end? Or...
Probably.
I mean, because...
Or you're eliminated from the tournament?
Well, yeah. Are you disqualified completely then? Like that doesn't seem fair because if so, that seems like what they should have told Harry to do,
or maybe
get him out of the tournament.
Maybe there's like a penalty, like you don't get it for another month. Give everybody like a head start.
I'm thinking maybe you just don't get the egg at all. Like that would make more sense to me because it doesn't sound like the egg is necessary.
Yeah.
You would just be going into the second task blind like you went into the first task blind.
That's true. Maybe they just assume nobody's going to be going into the task blind anyway, so.
Because I think they said that the egg just has a clue about the second task.
Yeah.
It didn't necessarily spell out exactly what you have to do or how to do it or how to survive. Like, it just said it's going to give you a clue about the second task.
Yeah.
So.
Don't know.
Yeah. Just thought I have. It's.
Yeah.
What would happen? Obviously, it didn't matter, but
sure.
What are you gonna do?
Rounding out chapter 20, though, Harry was throwing some serious shade at Rita Skeeter, and I don't understand why. Definitely no reason for it, but I don't appreciate it, Mr. Potter. You need to change your attitude, sir. Respect the journalists.
Chapter 21.
21.
The House Elf Liberation Front.
Oh, man, I squealed for joy when this title was read.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I've ever since you kind of got attached to House Elves, I don't remember if it might have even been back when we were just met Dobby the first time. And then he came back later in the book and he's like, yeah, I want to know more about House Elves. And I'm like, this is the chapter I always think about when we get to visit the kitchens. Like,
what a glorious chapter.
Yeah.
First of all, perfect palate cleanser for that, like, action-packed chapter before.
Yep.
But it's just so fun and lighthearted, and it just, I was smiling the entire time this chapter was going on.
I understand, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, where do you want to start? Fred and George grabbing food from the kitchen, because of course.
They've been doing it for years.
Yeah. I mean, what better way to celebrate in the house than a whole bunch of food from the kitchen itself?
Yep.
It sounded glorious and delightful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, food there is always great, so anytime that's involved, you're going to have a good time, I think.
Right. Except Neville. I mean, Neville didn't have the best of times.
Well, that wasn't the food's fault.
Well, it was the
not the food from the kitchen.
Exactly. There was some other food involved there. The canary custards? No, canary creams.
Creams. Yeah. Canary creams.
Good old friend George.
They're really starting to get this stuff figured out.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not their testing methods are, I don't know, moral, if you want to go that direction, or just, I mean, like, it feels a little bit like they're always just giving these to students or kids untested.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of saw that with Dudley. They wanted to see what happened, and they knew he would eat it. And
they kept testing on adults, so
it's like let's just slip some of our canary creams in with all the other food and see what happens.
The young kids are dumb and stupid, and they'll go along with it, and they won't be too mad. You know, like even Neville, like, wasn't upset that he got turned into a bird that molted and then turned back into himself.
And you see, that's what I enjoy about this one. It feels fairly harmless. Like, I don't know how it feels to be turned into a canary, but it felt like it happened. It didn't last all night.
Yeah.
It was maybe a minute or two, and then he was back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is a fun little prank, fun little candy.
Yeah.
It didn't cause any long-term damage, as far as we know.
Right.
Maybe Neville's been eating canary creams his whole life, and that is part of the problem. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Fred and George really have something going on here. I like just the things that they come up with, and the fact that whenever they do create something, everybody seems to love it.
Exactly. Yeah.
like these two, they're some kind of geniuses.
Yeah, they need to go into business beyond mail order, purchase orders. Like, they definitely have something here. Like, they are destined for bigger and greater things, more than just selling some print candy to kids at Hogwarts.
Sure.
I don't know. Let's see. There's an ice cream shop in Diagon Alley, right?
Yeah. Florian Fortescue. Well, what is his actual shop name?
I don't know. And there's a candy shop in Wow, that name just escaped me. Diagon Alley is the only thing I'm thinking of. That's not right.
Hogsmeade.
There we go. Right? Is that what the candy shop is?
Yeah. So it's Florian Fortescue's ice cream parlor. That's the one I was thinking of.
Okay. In Diagon Alley.
Yeah, because that's where Harry. When he was there over the summer, he got like free ice cream every day while he was. Yeah. Right. And then, like I said, in Hogsmeade, there's Honeydukes.
Right. Okay.
Is their big candy shop.
So I don't know if there's necessarily room for like a shop of Fred George, at either one of those places. They're what, 6 years?
Let's see. What do you say? We just went over this at the beginning of the book.
They're not in the final year, are they?
No, they got to be 6th year because they're not. They're more than 1 year ahead of Harry and Ron.
Okay, so they probably have at least one more year at Hogwarts.
Yep.
I don't know if they could be business owners while at Hogwarts. That seems pretty tricky.
I mean, because you figure they start when they're 11. So you're supposed to be like 18 when you graduate.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Right. So, I don't know if like opening up a shop is in the cards for them, but it kind of feels like that's the direction they're going. Like I could see like the kids going to Hogsmeade, on the weekend when they get their trips allowed, definitely going to like a shop of like Fred and George and buying this kind of crazy stuff and taking it back to Hogwarts. Like that's the market that they are playing to right now.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that's right up their alley, as they say. So I don't know. It just cracks me up. Like everything about Fred and George is always good stuff. So,
yep.
So that's how we found out how to get into the kitchen. You have to find a painting of the fruit.
Yep.
A bowl of fruit and tickle the pear.
Tickle the pear and it giggles.
Yeah. I love how like Hermione just like very casually and was being very coy when she was like, so how do you get in the kitchen? And they're like suspicious of her, but like they still totally told her.
Yeah. Like they know, I think they kind of, in their mind, Hermione's way out on a limb and they're pretty sure there's nothing she can do to upset the balance that they have there.
Right.
Like telling Hermione how to get to the kitchens is not going to ruin anything for them.
No, it was almost like we want to see this happen. Like we want to see what goes on with this, Give it your best shot. Yeah. I appreciate that they're not stingy with their secrets because they got a lot of them.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And they don't mind talking about them. You just have to ask them the right questions sometimes.
Yeah, or have the right needs. Like last year when they gave Harry the Marauders map.
Right.
And it's like, we have this memorized. You need it more than us. Here you go.
Yeah. All right, so we make our way down to Hagrid's.
Yep.
It's time to talk some blasted screws here. These things are just getting gigantic and aggressive.
Massive. And like something you start to wonder if they are this big, how does no one know anything about them?
Because nobody wants to get close enough to find out about them.
I mean, it sounds like, okay, if they're all kept in one area, they start killing each other off.
Yeah.
But still, you kind of figure there should be like one gigantic one off in the forest somewhere.
Yeah.
Even if it's living by itself, it's like, don't go into that area. That is the blast-ended Scroot Den. We don't go there.
Right. Yeah, Hagrid still doesn't know anything about him. He found out that they don't hibernate, or at least with pillows and blankets. So
yeah, honestly, what animal? I mean, maybe he knows of some other fantastic beasts that like to hibernate in pillow coated boxes.
Yeah,
but yeah, that seemed a little excessive.
He's just trying. He's trying anything he possibly can. Yeah. You know, he doesn't know anything, so you just start the process of elimination, I guess, and cross off things until you figure out something.
I hope he tried a lot of things before that, because that's not the first thing I would try.
Knowing Hagrid, it probably wasn't, but who knows? Yeah. Rita Skeeter, she's hanging around. She's doing some hard-hitting investigation, as any true and authentic journalist should do, and I appreciate her efforts. You know.
Yeah,
she's doing the groundwork. She's trying to get the stories, get the scoops. Scoops just don't, come to your doorstep. You got to go to other people's doorsteps for them. Hagrid is definitely cold towards her. He's not a big fan, but that's only because Dumbledore is not a big fan, and whatever Dumbledore says, Hagrid goes along with. So
most of the time,
yeah.
I mean, Hagrid kind of owes Dumbledore his career.
Mm-hmm.
So,
two things happened from this that I would like to point out. One, where did Hagrid get these things? Like, they kind of danced around that, and we didn't get an answer. But I'm super curious now what's going on with these.
Yeah,
where did Hagrid win them in another game of poker? Did he buy them from somebody? Did somebody deliver them to him? Is somebody, maybe they know their full potential and maybe they're trying to use them as some sort of organic weapon against Hogwarts, and they tricked Hagrid into taking them and raising them to get to their full size so that they could attack Hogwarts. I don't know. It's all possible. But Hagrid got them from somewhere. He doesn't want to talk about it. Hermione definitely knows that Hagrid doesn't want to talk about it because he's about to get himself in trouble if he does. Very curious. And it's something I hadn't even considered up until now,
Yeah.
But Hagrid gets creatures from all over the place.
He does.
And nobody questioned this up until now.
Well, what if no one's questioning it because they know why he has them?
Yeah.
Maybe, what if they're for a future task? And Hagrid is trying to he knows it's supposed to be a secret, but he's trying to hint Harry in the right direction?
That's possible. Now, that thought crossed my mind, but I don't know. Maybe it's possible, but why would you be trusting the younger kids to help raise these things?
These kids aren't actually raising them. I mean, they see him for what?
They're out there trying to put leashes on them, and
Hagrid is watching these things 24 hours a day.
Yeah,
the kids aren't raising them. They're seeing the result. It's like, I mean, when you, I don't know what kind of science classes you had in school, but it's one thing if you give a kid a plant and they have to raise that.
Sure.
Those don't need 24-hour care. So yeah, you could say that kid actually helped that plant grow. It watered it when need to, gave it fertilizer, whatever the case may be.
Sure.
They grew that plant. But there's a reason you don't give students live animals typically and say, raise this thing.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. If you do, it's something that stays in the classroom and they come and visit it every day and take care of it while they're at school, maybe. But if there's any after-hours care or anything bigger that needs to be done, the teacher's going to do it at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's true. Still, though. I mean, I thought about the possibility of it being used for a task. Maybe. I mean, that would make sense why we've been following them along this entire journey, but I don't know. Do they scream? Or do people scream when they try to mess with them? Something to do with screaming.
We haven't heard... I don't think we've really heard too much noise from them yet.
No, not yet. Maybe they're not big enough.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just haven't killed anybody. We'll see. Also, I had no idea that there was a zoological column in the Daily Prophet, and I want to know how I could get in on writing that, because that seems awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't seem like Rita's writing it.
No, I don't think she is. Just they have a column.
Yeah. Fascinating. I want to know more about this.
Sure.
Trelawney's still crazy. Nobody's surprised by that.
Nope.
There was one little weird mention here before we transitioned into the big scene in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I've been racking my brain trying to figure out why this was put in the book. It was so casual. It was so one and done. And it just seemed weird that it would even be mentioned at all. But they talked about Ron. I think it was Harry and Ron. All three of them, maybe? Maybe it was all three of them when they were going down to the kitchen. It just mentioned that the Bloody Baron floated by him. And he was looking mad or upset, or I can't remember the language used.
Did they actually mention he floated by?
Yeah. It was one little line, one little brief mention. I was like, wait, what? Why is he in the story all of a sudden? Like, they walk around Hogwarts all the time, and they don't ever, like, talk about ghosts and stuff that they they walk by or anything like that. Other than Peeves throwing, chairs back at Harry because he thinks Harry's, throwing chairs at him. But it was like this weird little, like, just mention of, like, they passed the Bloody Baron in the hallway. And I'm like...
okay, as they passed the Bloody Baron. Sure enough. I thought they were just referencing the Bloody Baron because they were talking about being a ghost.
Maybe.
Because that's kind of why he got the mention. I mean, it was... So it was a weird coincidence that he passed as they were talking about ghosts.
Yes.
But that's how it was written.
Sure.
But at the same time, I guess it could have been that's why Ron made the joke. You would be some sort of extra concentrated ghost because he just saw a ghost floating by.
Maybe, but like it's not like the Bloody Baron has been in a whole bunch of scenes in this story so far.
Not in this one. I mean, he's been in almost every book, though.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't like it was a nearly holistic mention or a Peeves mention, who we've already, like, we don't know much about the Baron. So it was just very weird to me that all of a sudden...
We know that Peeves fears him. He's the only one that Peeves will listen to.
Sure. But again, it's just not something we normally get. And it just threw me off because... I don't know. Maybe I'm overanalyzing the whole thing, and it was just meant to be a complete throwaway line.
Maybe J.K. wanted to let you know once again that... or wanted to finally let you know that, yeah, the ghosts are still here. They are floating around wherever they want.
Yeah. But why him? There's something. There's something there, Matt.
It's possible.
It might take many more books before we get to that answer, but this might be the Mrs. Fig Part 2 type of situation here, but something.
All right.
Regardless, we're going to the kitchen.
We are.
Now, here's the thing. 3.5 years we've spent at Hogwarts now.
Yep.
And there are still places that Harry has never even seen, which is fascinating to me.
the castle is huge.
I know,
and we don't always necessarily get to grasp how big it is, because we see Harry go from from Gryffindor Tower down to the Great Hall to eat, and back up to Gryffindor Tower, and then down to the dungeons for potions. Like, we see the same half a dozen places over and over.
Sure.
We don't always see his time in between. We don't always see where he spent. I mean, they spend their free time either at Hagrid's, by the lake, or in the common room.
Right.
They don't go anywhere else. They don't explore the castle.
Which is crazy to me, because that's what I would be doing. If I was stuck there, I would know that whole place backwards and forwards.
I would too. I
mean, Fred and George obviously did that when they were young.
Yeah, but not everybody does.
Just crazy to me. But whatever. But then I started thinking, why hasn't Harry been in this particular area? And it was mentioned that this was a hallway that Cedric kind of dipped into earlier on.
In that direction, yep.
Yeah. And because we haven't really talked about Hufflepuff House too much, is this a hallway that leads to Hufflepuff?
At least, it makes it sound like this is at least on the way there.
Yeah.
Whether you have to take this actual hallway, or if the hallway you need to take branched off right before this hallway, I'm not entirely sure.
But Hufflepuffs are definitely near the kitchen, right?
Yes, that's what it sounds like.
That's fantastic. I love that so much.
Yeah.
Makes total sense.
In my head too, like the four houses are kind of like in the four corners of the castle.
Yeah.
Like they're separated as much as possible.
I'm sure like Ravenclaw is probably like right by the library.
Sure.
You know. But yeah, I was just like, you know what? I can see that. I can see Hufflepuff being right next to the kitchen. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we tickle the pear and we get into the kitchen.
Yep.
First of all, Spew is now Health, according to Ron.
Something along those lines. Yeah. She changed the name. It's not really a great acronym anymore.
No. House Elf Liberation Front.
Which seems odd because, like, yes, they're house elves, but for the sake of the name, drop the house.
Yeah. Just be elf.
Support elf. Yeah, exactly.
Team elf. Kids.
Yep.
So we're in the kitchen. There's obviously we're gonna go meet the house elves that work in the kitchen at Hogwarts. And lo and behold, I didn't see this coming, Matt. Dobby is in the house.
Dobby's back.
He's looking fresh. He got some new threads.
Yeah. Like I said, I've been waiting for this chapter for a long time.
Oh, I was so happy. Thought didn't even cross my mind at all, because last we heard, Dobby's just running around the world, just being an unemployed house elf.
And he was for most of the year already.
Yeah.
Like you said,
he
just got here last week.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad Dobby's back. So glad. And, like, it's in the circumstances of Dobby being able to just be Dobby and not be worried that Dobby's going to say something bad and have to, like, consistently punish himself.
Yeah.
Like, I can't handle that Dobby.
Terms.
You know, I can't do that again.
I think that's kind of what happened when, I mean, because he essentially had bad masters before that.
Yeah.
But now he works for Hogwarts. He works for Dumbledore, essentially, which means he has a good master finally.
Yeah.
And Dobby is getting everything he wants now.
Right. I mean, he could be getting more than what he wants.
Exactly. Dumbledore tried to give him more, and Dobby beat Dumbledore down. Like, what? Okay.
Dobby's a master negotiator.
Yeah. But I hope you start to see where I was coming from a little bit more now. Like, Dobby's getting paid.
Yeah.
And the 100 other house elves here all kind of shunning him because of it.
Right.
Dumbledore, I'm sure, would pay every single one of them.
Yeah.
But they don't want it.
No.
Even
Dobby
though
does.
their working conditions are good, they don't want it.
Right.
And then we even see from Dobby, like he gets his pay, he gets his time off, and he talks him down. He's like, "No, I don't want that much. I want to work." he would rather be working than have that much time off.
Yeah.
So yes, it's almost more just the gesture.
Mm-hmm.
I think just having Dumbledore offer him those things probably would have been enough.
Yeah, yeah.
But he'll take a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And he just wants a modest salary, just enough so he could save up for a new sweater. Like, he clearly doesn't need money. I'm assuming the house elves live at Hogwarts. Is that how that works? Like, they probably have like their own living quarters somewhere, right?
I mean, they're working most of the time, but so I mean, I have to imagine that they don't go far, if at all.
Okay.
Because they're cooking all the meals, which takes some time.
Yeah.
And then we have heard that they clean too.
Right.
And take care of the fireplaces and that sort of thing. So it's even though there are a lot of them, like we were just saying, this is a big castle.
Yeah.
They keep quite busy, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It's just, cracks me up. Dobby's special. Winky is also at Hogwarts.
She is.
Yeah. This is frightening, Matt. For anybody
especially given your last Muggle theories.
Exactly. Muggle theories number 4. I have some thoughts about Winky. I implore you all to go check that out. No reason to hash it out here. Go listen to that. Recording that and then reading this, and I'm just like, oh no. No, this is not good.
She got in.
She definitely got into Hogwarts. Doesn't seem like she wants to be at Hogwarts, but Winky might be a really good actor too. Not sure yet.
We'll find out.
We will. This chapter, though, like, I definitely fell in love with Dobby all over again.
Sure.
Like, as much as he annoyed me, and, like, when he was, into, like, the whole self-harm thing, and beating himself up over everything, and how much trouble he caused for Harry Potter, like, he was still pretty adorable. And then, like,
debatable, but yeah.
I mean, and in the end, you're just like, okay, like, you're pretty good, And then, like, to have him back, it's just, oh man, I miss Dobby so much. I miss the way he talks. I really enjoy the conversation that he's having with Harry, and he's like, "Can I visit Harry Potter?" And Harry's like, "Yeah, of course you can." And he's just like, "Oh, he's just so excited, to be able to just go hang out with Harry Potter whenever he wants."
Yep.
Like, this is a special little bond that they have. Definitely concerned about Winky just hanging around. But she's not really adjusting.
Yeah,
quite well.
For the time being, she doesn't seem to be too active. So.
Yeah. We didn't really find out a reason why she was released from her position with Mr. Crouch. And that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think the impression was kind of given that he was going to let her go. Like, he didn't want anything, like, on the books.
Yeah.
He didn't want Winky to have a record, so to speak.
Right.
So he didn't want to involve the ministry, but he was going to take care of it himself.
Right.
I think was kind of where he was implying that, yeah, I'm going to let her go.
Yeah.
Which is, in the eyes of, you can see all these house elves, is about the worst thing that can happen to them.
Sure. Everything was implied, from previous things. Like, there was nothing said in this chapter that it fully explained why she was let go. And that made me curious.
Yeah. And one interesting thing she did bring up, though, is that I think you've kind of questioned this before. We didn't really know about like longevity and families and such within house elves. But she mentions that her mother and her grandmother both served the Crouch family.
Yes.
So house elves can kind of go through generations there.
Right.
Yeah.
And that brought up a whole litany of questions about house elves and children of house elves and
sure.
Where did her dad go? Like, does he work for another house? Like, how does that whole thing work?
Yep.
She said something very interesting, though. She accused our good friend Ludo Bagman of being a bad wizard.
It's true.
This doesn't feel right, Matt. I have not got that vibe at all from Bagman.
Well, yeah, but don't you think overly energetic, eccentric, kind of harebrained Bagman could be a front? Like, we don't see him pop up all that often.
It's possible, but you kind of described Lockhart, and he was just an idiot.
Okay, yeah.
I haven't gotten that sense at all from Bagman. Whereas, conversely, I definitely got that feeling from Crouch. So, one of two things is happening here. This is just Winky trying to deflect some attention from Crouch onto Bagman and kind of make him a suspect and suspicious to people, all the while getting away with very bad things. Or this is like the most gigantic of swerves ever, and JK's just like, hey, remember that guy you didn't suspect at all? You should have been paying attention to him the whole time.
Haven't you? Isn't that about how you felt through the first couple of books here?
Exactly. That's why I don't think she's going to do it again.
Okay.
But maybe I'm dumb for that. Maybe she got me hook, line, and sinker already. There has been nothing, zero things that Bagman has said or done to make me suspicious in the least bit.
Sure.
But
unlike the Malfoys, who Dobby proclaims to be bad dark wizards.
Right. I mean, that totally makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It's like, Dobby, well, you're probably spot on with that one. So, yeah, I didn't like that. That didn't seem to fit anything, and that made me uneasy to think that maybe I have missed something the entire time. And I kind of want to go back and, like, pick out all the scenes with Bagman and see if there were hints that I missed. So now I'm just, like, super paranoid about everything. Which is probably the reason for that, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. That was pretty much, the chapter.
Yeah.
Just a whole lot of house elf shenanigans and Dobby's very eclectic fashion sense. And
yep. Finding out that Dobby and Winky are back in the story, and, more importantly, at Hogwarts now.
At Hogwarts. They have got inside the walls.
Yep.
Curious. Very curious, Matt.
Yes, it is.
With that being said, though, I think we should probably check in with the listeners and see if anybody wrote in some emails.
Hell, it's probably a good time to do that. We do have quite a few emails this week.
Nice.
We even had someone, well, a very specific someone, our headmistress, Mel B, who's actually gone camping all of last week.
Oh, okay.
So she sent in her email for this week last week.
Look at that, being proactive. I like it.
Planning ahead.
Yes.
So our first email is from Mel B. She says, I know, die of shock. This is ultra early, but I'm about to go camping and I won't have time to write you.
Alex, take notes. This is how you do it.
Harry would rather face a dragon than return to the Dursleys. Such a Gryffindor. To be fair, if I had the potential capability to deal with a dragon instead of having to deal with some other things, I probably would too. Harry wouldn't let his worst enemy face a dragon unprepared, except Snape or Malfoy. So he wouldn't let his enemy. So he would let his enemies face one unprepared. Because Snape and Malfoy, I would count them as enemies.
Yeah, probably his worst.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine him warning Voldemort, though. In fact, if Harry was a Ravenclaw or Slytherin, he probably would lure Voldemort into a dragon den and let the dragon do the rest. But yeah, she makes a good point. It's like, wait, you accept Snape or Malfoy? Like, why not include Voldemort in that list too?
Yeah. Well, I mean, probably okay to think that Voldemort could handle a dragon. All things considered.
If anyone, yeah.
Yeah.
She says, I love all of Moody's dark detectors. Having such a paranoid and prolific aura around really would make you feel a little safer. Too bad he had to turn all the detectors off, though. Yeah, that was kind of... I mean, well, he actually only turned the sneakoscope off.
Right.
He said because the secrecy sensor was still humming the entire time, and the faux glass was still working. Like that, the faux glass... Of those three at Hogwarts, the faux glass is probably the most useful.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like a range find. Like it lets you know when things are getting closer.
Also, raise your hand if you think that's going to be used later on in the book at some point. Mm-hmm.
Bagman is being oddly helpful. Is he worthy of suspicion? Or is he just excitable and friendly?
Oh, Mel, don't jump on this train. No. He's not suspicious at all.
I mean, he did try to offer Harry an awful lot of help.
Yeah, because he doesn't want him to die.
I suppose, yeah. That's one way to look at it. I really enjoy Harry's approach to the first task. Of course, he had Moody's help, unbiased help, but it was still Harry who did it. Madame Pomfrey is so real. She always is there to say what we all think. I would agree with that. It's the voice of reason. Yeah. I mean, you kind of said like every time something fun or exciting is happening, like she kind of talks it down. She doesn't want it to happen. But like I said, she's a voice of reason. She doesn't want to see anybody get hurt. And yeah, she can help them if they do.
Yeah.
But
she would rather kick her feet back up and not go through everything that she goes through on a yearly basis.
Yeah. Let's celebrate the fact that Ron has come around and he is acting as he should have from the start. It is literally like it never happened.
Yeah. Well, dumb 14-year-old boys.
That's what you get. Yep. Dobby is back and accompanied by Winky. Josh, you kept wondering where Winky was in regards to Crouch, but giving an elf clothes means that you set them free. Winky was essentially fired.
Yes.
But I think we kind of touched on that. Like, it was implied, I think, but we didn't actually ever see that, I don't think. Like, we didn't see her getting fired.
Right.
But I love how kind Dumbledore is to the house elves, such as advising Dobby he can call him names.
I appreciate that, yeah.
Yeah, that was a little weird, but I guess it's Dumbledore.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
So you have been so you have been hunting crowd. Wow.
Is she using Aussie words again?
No, I don't think so. I think it is autocorrect somewhere. Maybe like so you've been counting on Crouch. Okay, so basically, I think you've been predicting that Crouch is a bad guy.
Yes.
But from Winky tells us that Bagman is a bad wizard. Does she mean bad as in just awful at being wizard, or bad as in evil?
Ooh, I hadn't thought about he's just incompetent. We haven't really seen his wizarding skills, have we?
Not really. No. I mean, other than being able to make his voice really loud.
Right.
Like, that's about all the magic we've seen from him, I think.
Yeah.
That is a good point, because you just said, like, I kind of described what sounded to you like Lockhart, and you told me he was just an idiot. He didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah, that's true.
There you go.
Yeah.
Finally, Rita Skeeter. I am so disgusted in her. Josh will come to hate her as much as I do in time.
You guys keep saying that, but I don't know.
I was going to say, once again, I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
But thank you, Mel, for getting your email in, even though you're not in town.
Yes, thank you, as always.
Email from Caitlin. She says, I just finished listening to the finale of the Chamber of Secrets and heard Josh talk about Harry Potter tattoos, and I had to share mine.
Ooh, I'm intrigued.
Yeah. Let's see if I can.
Caitlin, you said?
Yeah. Caitlin.
Did she send along pictures?
She did.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. I think this is safe.
It's a pre-screen tattoos.
yeah, and it's like she took it's actually a Instagram post, looks like.
Okay.
So I'll let you see it here.
Okay.
We'll send this one over quick.
All right.
She says, Matt, I know you'll know what it means, and Josh, hopefully you'll figure it out soon. So yeah, it's not going to be something that you fully understand right now.
Okay. That's pretty much my entire life with Harry Potter at this point.
I know, but like I said, you're halfway through the fourth book now. Like, there would be some things that you understand or can catch on to.
Yeah.
Like you're getting more and more to that stage where, like, if I mention Sirius Black now, you know who that is.
Sure.
You know what he's done in the story.
Right.
Or if I mention Mooney, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs, like, that would have been gibberish to you in the past.
Yeah.
But you know who they are. But
Love
this one...
Always?
What's that?
What does it say?
Yeah, it says always. Yeah.
Does it say love always?
No.
Just says always?
It just says always. There's some more designs in there. Like I said, it's very fancy and intricate, and I love what you did with it. But I can't explain it to you right now.
Oh.
But yeah.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Is it Professor Sprouts?
I can't tell you.
Okay.
But thank you, Caitlin. I do like the tattoo idea. So
yeah.
Josh, you can keep that in mind. Put in your little book for ideas later.
I have a couple in my head. I'm close
sure
to
you
just doing it. I'm just gonna go in and get it done and just surprise all of you one day.
Oh boy. Well, our next email is from Mandy.
Hi, Mandy.
It says, this is my first time writing, and I just wanted to say how amusing it is to listen to Josh generate crazy theories about everything. I have read this series 8 to 9 times in the last 2 years.
Wow.
And never thought of some of the things that you bring up. One thing I don't understand is the obsession over the giant squid. I feel like that's Josh's favorite character. I personally love Hermione Granger. In my head, I'm imagining Josh when Rita Skeeter ignores Cedric Diggory as Hogwarts champion. After all the defense he put up for her, and she denied his house the deserved glory. I'm trying to... separate thought here. I'm trying to start a kids Muggle Quidditch team. Any advice?
Okay, first of all, Giant Squid, not my favorite character because I don't think they've really given the squid a name or personality yet enough to call it a character. Set piece, creature, definitely.
Sure.
Also, I'm pretty sure one episode I explained my fascination with the giant squid and why that happened. I don't remember which one it is, but it goes back to my fascination with giant squids in general. And then there being a giant squid in this lake at Hogwarts, it was kind of like a match made in heaven. So, how to make a Quidditch team for kids? First of all, you need a second team to play against, right?
It's true.
Yeah,
you have to find someone else who wants to make a team as well.
Right.
Well, I suppose if you get enough kids on your one team, you can split them into two teams. But...
Sure. Then you need like some balls that are soft enough to where you could still throw them, and you could still have some sort of like play with them, but that no one's going to get hurt. Because the moment a kid gets hurt with them, done, you're over.
Well, yeah. Nowadays, growing up, like,
we would have used some like golf balls or baseballs.
Like at school, we had like for recess time when it was raining. Like they would all the kids would have to play in the gym,
right? And
so some days when it was raining and we played in the gym, they had us play. It was essentially a variation on dodgeball. We actually called it murder ball.
Okay.
And it like I don't know if they actually came up with the variation or what, but like most people just refer to it as dodgeball, but the rules were slightly off.
Sure.
I think they are mostly to conform to the space we had.
Right.
So they adjusted the rules a little bit, but for the first probably I think we played it like in 5th through 8th grade. So I think it's like 5th through 7th grade we still used just playground balls.
Yeah.
Like a kickball. Not hard rubber. I mean, like the rubber balls that were, the size of your head or bigger.
Right.
And no one complained.
Yeah.
If you didn't want to play, you didn't have to. But anybody that played, they didn't care.
Right.
But then my 8th grade year, I don't know if it was a parent that complained or what it was, but they switched it over to these like foam balls. And like we still enjoyed it, but two things. One, a foam ball does not fly the same as like a rubber ball.
Right.
Like they just float more or less. And two, the balls actually started to fall apart. Because you grip them so hard and then throw them, like chunks would just fall off of them.
Sure.
So it just wasn't the same after that. But
it's tough.
Toughen up.
Yeah. I would say think about the materials that you're using. Man, I mean, we could probably spend all night like figuring out how to make this work, but definitely like make sure you have enough kids for like 2 teams, because if you don't have a second team to play against, what are you doing out there? You're just running around on brooms.
There's our next butterbeer banter. But honestly, I would say like we know there is collegiate Quidditch, and they have talked about trying to get kids into it earlier.
Yeah.
So that by the time you get to college, like they want it to be a legitimate sport.
Right.
So if I would check with some of those leagues and see if there is any college near you that actually has a team, and see if they have any idea, if they don't already have something in place in your area, just see if they have any suggestions on how to get something started.
Right. Yep. That sounds fun though. Like, just definitely let us know. Keep us up to date with how that progresses. I'm curious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Says P.S. I'd give you 5 stars, but I don't know how to leave a review.
Ooh, Matt.
Well, specifically, we've been asking for reviews in iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to, if you don't already have iTunes, like I think if you have a Mac, it's already on the computer.
Oh yeah.
But if you have a PC, you're gonna have to download iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have to create an account, still free.
Mm-hmm.
Then you just go search for Tales from Godric's Hollow and click on our podcast, and it'll show you like all the episodes there that we've released so far. But depending if you're doing this on a desktop computer or a mobile device, you can do it on your phone too. It's just going to be, the screen's going to be set up slightly differently, right. But there should be a tab or a button you can click that says like ratings and reviews. Or it might just be like on a phone, you might just click on like the 5-star rating to see all the other ratings. Regardless, when you do that, there should also be a button on that tab that says write a review.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have to click on that, and a little screen will pop up, allowing you to give a title and type a review and click your 5-star rating.
Yep.
So it's fairly simple. The hardest part it would be making sure you have iTunes and creating an account. Once you do that, just search for our podcast and leave a review right there.
Yeah, pretty straightforward from there.
Yeah.
If you need any further help, definitely let us know.
Yeah. Send me another email if you're having trouble with it, and I'll figure out how to walk you through it.
Yep.
All right. Next email from Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Finally caught up on all my podcasts again. School has eaten my life. First things first. Josh, I hope you're feeling better. Being sick is no fun.
No.
Also, you're on a roll with these predictions.
I do what I can.
I'm glad Harry told Cedric about the dragons. I hope I would have done the same in his place. I'm Hufflepuff, so the odds are good. Fairness and all that, you know. Hooray for Harry and Ron not being mad at each other. I have a few friends who give Ron a hard time for being jealous of Harry here and say to them, come on, don't you remember what you were like at 14? I could be downright unbearable at times.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, I agree. Next, I have a question for Matt. Are you guys going to read the school textbooks, such as Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them and Quidditch Through the Ages, in release order? They were originally released between books 4 and 5, so the first editions don't contain spoilers. I'm not sure about the new ones. I just bought the Fantastic Beasts audiobooks, which is read by Newt himself. I feel like this email is just a stream of consciousness ramble, so I'll better stop now. Looking forward to next week's podcast.
That's pretty much our podcast in a nutshell anyway, so.
It's true. So yeah, as for those books, I definitely want to go through them. I think we've kind of talked about that. They might appear as like Butterbeer Enter episodes sometime.
Mm-hmm.
Quidditch Through the Ages, I think we can definitely do. Yeah, the Fantastic Beasts, even we could probably do too. You did buy the new editions, right, Josh?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yes.
So the new editions, I know at least Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them did add some content from the original books, but I think it's all just going to be stuff that was covered in Fantastic Beasts.
Okay.
For the most part. So yeah, I'll double check that one, and we may be able to go through that one too. If not, we will, I think, for sure cover them after we get through the series if we can't do them now.
Yeah.
But that's a good point. If I couldn't remember when they were released, I would have had to look that up. But if they're released between books 4 and 5, yeah, I suppose now could be a good time to do at least one of them.
Yeah. Also, speaking of which, that totally reminded me. Val picked me up the screenplay edition of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Oh, yeah.
Which is fantastic. And we were sitting there, I was flipping through it. She was like, I wonder if it's going to capture like the same feeling and essence that like the movie had, you know, like those raw emotions that you get from the film. And I was flipping through and I flipped to the end when Queenie's saying goodbye to
come on,
I'm having trouble with names tonight. Jacob. And like I flipped to it and I started reading it and I just like handed it to her. I'm like, yeah, this is. I'm like all of a sudden like eyes start swelling and I'm like, yeah, this is just as hard as watching it on film.
And you see, and that's I think if you're an actor when you get a script to read or a director or whoever, like I think it almost has to have that feeling in it.
Yep.
Like you have to be able to read it too, otherwise it's not going to make it to the movie.
Yeah.
You're not going to get those actors.
Yep.
So. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Glad it holds up.
Mm-hmm.
Next email is another from our friend W.
Hi, W.
Says, first of all, holy crap. I kind of did not expect my email to be seen, and I was stuck between anticipation, elation, and regret the moment I clicked send. I was fortunately surprised. I agreed with everything you said, Josh. One, you can't really look upon the subject of Slytherins as a whole without completing the series. Sans Cursed Child. You can just pretend that doesn't exist. Okay. Apparently doesn't care for Cursed Child, but we'll find out later. 2, Draco is a jerk. Man, is he a jerk. I facepalm at everything he does, and a lot of it is from a former jerk perspective. He's hurting people left and right, and he cannot be excused for it. He is up to some malarkey. I was actually planning on making a survey for Slytherins, sans spoilers, of course, to get a larger input than just my own, and send it to you guys instead of just email. But I lack the energy, patience, and social audacity to do it. I might try to do it on a smaller scale than I was aiming for, though. Anyway, I love you guys. I love Snape. I love Draco. And I wouldn't mind further correspondence either.
Perfect. I want to love them too, but I have no reason to yet. Only with the hopes of other people saying that they are redeemable in some way. That's the only thing I have to cling on to. So,
sure,
we'll see.
All right.
Yeah.
Next email from Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Says, dear Josh and Matt, first time writer here. I started binging you guys from the beginning back in January. Now that I've caught up, I have both the agony of reading much slower pace and the fun of interacting with community in real time. Right there with you.
Yeah, double-edged sword we are.
Yep. I would venture to guess that this week's chapters were some of Josh's favorites.
I would agree. Yep.
All right. I'm not sure how JK is going to top a fight scene with a dragon, Harry and Ron becoming friends again, and hundreds of house elves in his eyes. Josh, what would you say your favorite moment was from this week?
Dobby! Honestly, Dobby,
right.
Like Dobby being in the kitchen. Like everything else was really cool, but like just having that moment of Dobby being back was awesome.
I'm glad you have such a definitive answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, anybody who knows me knows I have trouble picking favorites, so there you go. I personally love the moment when Harry takes off on his firebolt and feels his passion for Quidditch take hold of him. I spent many years as a competitive swimmer, and I'm very familiar with the thrill and solace that comes from diving into a pool. I also completely empathize with Hermione's reaction to Harry and Ron making up. When I was a senior in college, 2 of my best friends had a huge fight and broke up. I had to spend most of the night comforting both of them. The next day at lunch, I saw them holding hands.
Aww.
They had made up that morning. If resolving their conflict was such an easy thing to do, what was the point of me going through the agony of helping them through the breakup? Sigh.
Maybe test Hermione... your friendship, that's why.
Maybe Hermione and I are both just too compassionate and logical. Oh well. Harry and Ron are friends again, and my friends are planning their wedding for next summer.
There you go.
There you go. In closing, I'd like to echo one of last week's listeners that said, we need more Val. I am particularly keen to hear the famous Trelawney voice. Keep up the great work, and I will see you on the flip side, chapter 23.
2 things with that. One,
yeah.
When we were reading last night, we got to the Trelawney part, and she got like 3 or 4 lines into it, and then she stopped, and she said, hold on. I'm not reading this right. And like she started over in the Trelawney voice, and I was like, okay. Now we're back. I like this. So yeah, it's totally a thing. We'll figure out something to do with that for sure. Two, she was saying how she was a competitive swimmer, and like how she compared that to Harry's feeling when he was riding around on the firebolt.
Yep.
And that instantly made me think of like, I bet like when you dive into the pool and you're swimming and you're trying to go as fast as you possibly can, like everything, especially being in the water, drowns out all sound. Like everything is so quiet, you know?
Yeah.
But like
the
crowd
zone.
is not like they're loud, but
oh yeah,
when you get into it, especially with the assistance of the water, I'm sure everything just deafens down and is highly muted, and that's kind of like what Harry was going through when he went up into the sky. Like everything just got quiet, you know.
And you hear kind of that, I guess, phenomenon almost from other athletes as well.
Yeah.
Like, and that's, I think, why directors will portray it that way in movies. Like during a big scene, like everything kind of gets really quiet and muffled.
Yeah.
And, you know, they make the catch in the end zone, and then all of a sudden you hear the crowd go, like, they've been making noise the entire time.
Yeah.
But it just, right after the moment, like, once you stop moving, it's like, oh, yeah, they're watching me. They like that.
But, yeah, very cool. I appreciate that comparison.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. Next email from Rihanna.
Hi, Rihanna.
Says, just finished listening to the AMA episode, and I was excited when you mentioned your love for board games and figured you'd appreciate this. I found a brand new, still packaged Settlers of Catan game at the thrift store for $3.
Oh wow!
And had the expansion pack on top of it for $2. It was fantastic because one of those games I've been waiting to buy, but since a few of my friends owned it, I never did, since it's usually $45 to $60, especially when you add the expansion. It's very true. That is a fantastic find, especially if it's still packaged. Wow. But like most thrift stores I know, like they'll recognize games like that and they'll mark it up a little bit. Like they have their cap usually of what they'll charge for a game, but yeah, that's dirt cheap.
Yep.
That's awesome. She also asked, have you played Dominion? That's probably one of my favorites. I think I'm in the gateway category you mentioned. Josh, have you played Dominion?
Yes. You played it with us.
No.
What was that?
I played Seven Wonders with you.
Seven Wonders, that's right. Okay, maybe I haven't. Maybe I have. I don't remember.
Dominion is another deck building game.
Yeah.
So
I feel like we have it. Maybe I haven't played it. I don't remember.
It's very possible. It is quite popular.
Yeah.
It is kind of in that gateway category as well. It's just not. I guess deck building isn't always my cup of tea.
Sure.
There are a few games I do enjoy that are considered deck building, but yeah, I never really got into Dominion too much.
Yeah.
It felt too much when I played with people who have played it a lot. It felt like there was a right way to play, and like if you don't play that way, you're probably not going to win.
Right.
So like I don't like that because I always like finding different strategies and different ways to win, and I like when a different strategy can win.
Right.
Like it's not there isn't one right way to play.
Like putting all your hotels on the cheap properties in Monopoly, you know? Your favorite game, Matt.
Yes. Hey, back in the day it was. Josh, your tip about Blue Apron made me laugh quite a bit. Also, my aunt puts bacon in her coleslaw, which makes all the difference for me.
Huh. All right.
Bacon does make things more enticing for me.
Yeah.
I mean, you put bacon in something, and my wife isn't going to. So
unless you have the bacon ready to go, that's a whole lot of extra time spent cooking the bacon to make a coleslaw, which is fairly quick, you know?
Okay, yeah, I guess coleslaw can be a lot of cold ingredients. Well, I mean, but if you're making from scratch, you still have to like chop up a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take that long. It depends. Like, what else are you making with it? If you have time to make the bacon, sure.
I was gonna say, if you're cooking the bacon, if you start the bacon at the beginning and then do all the other stuff, the bacon's done by the end.
Sure,
it's all good.
Yeah. Is there anything bacon doesn't make better? Let's be real.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah.
So on to this week's chapters. She says, congrats, Josh, again on being right. Harry did get the worst of the 4 dragons, and he pulled through for you and told Cedric about them beforehand.
Yes.
Speaking of which, this quote has always annoyed me. It's probably the worst written part of all 7 books to me. Second email this has been mentioned. And Harry wouldn't have let his worst enemy face those monsters unprepared. Well, perhaps Malfoy or Snape. So using a cliche was a really dumb line because essentially it's saying that he'd never let Voldemort face a dragon unprepared. The man who killed his parents and who has now attempted to kill him 3 times unsuccessfully. Voldy is his worst enemy. Don't let him face a dragon, but your schoolboy enemies Snape and Malfoy, who have never actually done you any real physical harm, they should face the dragons with no preparation. JK, if you're going to use such a cliche like that, use it well, as Dumbledore would say.
Yes, but maybe Voldy isn't like considered his like worst enemy yet because he's not fully back into Voldemort shape, if it were. You know, like it's hard to say somebody's your worst enemy that is questionable as to their existence or physical attributes in any shape or form. Like last time we saw him, he was a face on the back of a guy's head. You know, is that really enough to say it's his worst enemy? Like the thought of him, like the presence of his being, I guess, is pretty bad. But without Voldemort standing there in the flesh, it's hard to say that he's like technically his worst enemy.
Okay. I can see where it's coming from.
I guess what I'm saying is like I could see where JK could go with that.
Yeah.
It's still weird. I agree that it's still worded weirdly. Could have been much better, but you all are looking at it from the perspective of like Voldemort is like Voldemort in the flesh, which at this point he's not.
Yeah.
Allegedly, maybe some flesh. Maybe house elf flesh. I don't know.
She continues, instead of the House Elf Liberation Front, if they just used Elf Liberation Front, it would actually be a really clever name since they could just call it Elf for short. Ron had a better idea than Hermione for once, and he seemed to have said it on the fly as a joke. Glad the Harry and Ron friendship lives on, and Dobby is so great.
Yes. I agree.
Thank you, Rihanna.
Mm-hmm.
The next email from Harry, not Potter.
Hi, Harry, not Potter.
After last week's unfathomable defense of Rita Skeeter, I'm interested to know what Josh's thoughts are on the looming Rita expose on Hagrid that we saw from this week's reading. If Rita costs Hagrid his beloved job as professor, will that change Josh's tune on her?
It's not going to cost him his job. Worst case scenario, Madame Maxime's going to look at him differently. But I think she's kind of using him at this point anyway. Here's the thing. I'm not sold on this whole...
What was that?
I'm not sold on this whole relationship thing. I want to be sold on it, but Hagrid is just giving so much, and I don't know what he's getting back from Madame Maxime at this point. You know, he's taking care of all their horses, giving them all this nice whiskey. He's taking her to see dragons and help her out to help out her champion. I kind of feel like she's using the poor guy, and I don't like it. I'm not a fan. That's why I haven't brought it up, Matt. I'm a little upset, to be honest.
That's good to know.
Yeah. I want it to be a real thing, but I don't trust her.
Oh, she is kind of considered the enemy right now.
Yeah. I'm in full suspect mode right now, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. When I first read through this book, I have to admit that I was a little annoyed by Hermione and Spew. But on this reread, after seeing how much Hermione did to help Harry get through the first task and deal without Ron, I am annoyed that he is not more supportive of her efforts, even if he does not personally believe in her cause. Right. She comes to every one of his Quidditch games, even if she doesn't have an interest, and to me, Harry owes her big time.
I think Harry just doesn't want to be, like, associated with another thing, you know? Like, he tries to be under the radar as much as he can, which, let's be real, he's doing a horrible job at. But, like, signing up for extra stuff, like, just means that he's more and more visible with things that could come back at him, you know?
Well, yeah, because, like, I guess Hermione wouldn't do it quite as much, but a lot of people, like, if Harry signs up for the club, that's almost like a calling card. It's like Lockhart always made the point. It's like, you and me, Harry, together we'll make the front page.
Yeah.
And so people would use Harry as a way to gain visibility.
Right. Which in turn gives him more visibility, which is the last thing that he wants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But does he owe Hermione? Absolutely. So
sure.
He needs to stop being dumb and just do it.
Also glad to see Harry struggle with the summoning charm instead of having it come to him naturally like so many other things. I think JK sometimes makes Harry out to be this wunderkind. Harry, you beat your dragon and got to the egg fastest. But I find it more interesting as a reader to see him struggle sometimes.
Yeah. Again, that montage is important.
Yep. Finally, poor Winky.
Is that it? Poor Winky?
Poor Winky.
No, not poor Winky. It's a scam.
All right. Next email from Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Says, hey guys, first off, really enjoyed the AMA episode and learning a little more about you guys. I kind of feel like we're friends, even though we've never met. I too was an introvert in my younger years, and I was basically forced myself to take a public speaking class in high school so I can get better at it. And although not the only reason, that was a certainly a large step in helping me get more comfortable speaking in front of people, which I do a lot of now. Which I found that a little interesting that he forced himself to take a public speaking class in high school.
Mm-hmm.
In my high school, we had a speech class that was mandatory, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't even remember it being a thing in my high school, so...
Really?
Yeah. If it was, it wasn't something I paid attention to.
Yeah. It was definitely not my favorite class. I did not do so well.
Sure.
But yeah, I can't really credit that class to helping me get better at speaking in front of people. That came way past high school. So.
Sure. Maybe just planted the seeds, though, Matt.
Yeah. On to this week's reading. I'm glad that Harry told Cedric about the dragons in the first task. In my opinion, having good character is an important trait to have. And I'm glad that Harry not only showed that, but made it a fair task now that all participants were in the know. Of course, Harry picked the most dangerous dragon. I'm a little surprised that everyone got past the first task successfully, though. I liked Harry's strategy using his flying skills to get the dragon off his spot so he can swoop in and grab the egg.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely a good strategy. I kind of wonder too. Like, Harry knew he was going to get his broom, but past that, he didn't really know what he was going to do.
Right.
I mean, he at the same time when he was planning for the broom, he didn't know that he needed to grab the egg in the first place.
Sure.
But even then, like, it took him a while to figure out, like, okay, so I'm more mobile now. I'm faster, but that still didn't
zoom in.
Yeah, get him the egg.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he figured it out though.
Yep.
Question for Josh. We know that the egg screeched when he opened it to receive a clue for the next task. What do you think the clue is? Do you think the egg is hexed? How do you think Harry will figure out this so-called clue?
Kind of reminded me of a howler.
Yeah? I mean, howlers, at least we could understand. Yeah, they yelled at you, but they were actual words we could understand.
Yeah, but just the loud shrieking noise. I don't know. I haven't put much thought into it yet. I haven't processed it too much. Again, I mean, I brought up the blasted his scroots earlier.
Yeah.
Maybe that has... I don't know. I'm not sure. It's very vague and open-ended and not much to work with.
It's true. Where do you think Fred and George learn the type of magic that would turn you into a canary, and when you molt, you go back to normal? Or did they come up with it on their own? They've always been jokesters, but they seem to be mastering some pretty advanced stuff. I wonder how they test out these creations. Or do they just hope it works correctly when they get an unsuspecting victim like Neville or Dudley?
Yeah, I feel like that's it.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like they're probably not paying attention to most of their classes, and instead working on all of this stuff, you know?
But, I mean, okay, some classes, yeah, like, if they're taking divination, yeah, that's not going to help them
but like
do what they're doing probably. Now. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure there's something they can be learning in their classes.
Yeah, but you know, like those gifted kids that are just like, you know what, I'm going to go on, and they kind of like have their career path set from like an early age, and they you know, hone in on that set of skills and learning everything about what they need to know about, and everything else just kind of gets blurry all the way around them. So I kind of feel like that's what they're doing. You know, like when they're supposed to be reading tea leaves, they're instead, you know, cracking open books to learn something else to, you know, make some other crazy joke or something.
Fair enough. Rita Skeeter meeting with Hagrid seems like it would be a disaster. It's a great line when the trio hopes Hagrid wouldn't tell her that she got the Scroots illegally, because we can all picture that happening.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate Hermione's efforts in pushing for equality, but in my opinion, she's starting to get pretty annoying about it. She should be happy that Dobby was getting paid in time off, but she was still upset that because she felt it wasn't enough. Appreciate the progress being made. Don't despise small beginnings. So,
I think she's just more upset that he's the only one getting paid.
Yeah, but like, I feel that she doesn't even really back off when she finds out that Dobby talked him down from Dumbledore's original offer.
Well, yeah, I think she also might be worried that, like, maybe, you know, they're not fully intellectually capable of bargaining properly, you know?
I think he fully understood what Dumbledore was offering, and that wasn't exactly what he wanted.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they're not. I'm looking at from Hermione's perspective, where she's just like, he's just a house elf. Like, he doesn't understand that offer was better, and he talked Dumbledore down to this. And she's worried that, like, he's making that choice because he doesn't know better, not because he's consciously making that choice. That's why she's not backing down from it, because she's just like, somebody needs to help these house elves. Like, even when things are going right, they're still not capable of, like, being as right as they should be.
Yeah,
That's how I see it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Next email from Kale.
Hi, Kale.
Says, I'm going to make this really quick. I don't have much time this week because I went to Southern California.
Hey.
And before you ask, yes, I did visit Harry Potter World.
Nice.
Can't wait for the podcast this week.
Hope you had a butterbeer on us.
Yeah,
for us.
Great place.
Mm-hmm.
Happiest place on earth, right?
One of, yeah.
All right. Last email from the one, the only, regaining his throne, Atari Alex.
Hi, Alex. Welcome back.
Dear Josh and Matt, I'm going to forego my normal introductory banter this week and get serious right off the bat.
Ooh.
I lost some respect for Josh last week. I was certain that when presented with clear evidence that Rita Skeeter is a liar and a muckraker, he would admit he was wrong and talk about what a terrible person she is. Sadly, as we saw with the debacle over the Death Eaters, this doesn't seem to be in Josh's nature. Now, I don't know if you genuinely feel that she has some redeeming qualities, or this is one of your I'll die on that hill topics, or if you're just trolling your listeners. But whatever the case may be, the mental gymnastics you tried to do in order to convince yourself that this woman is anything more than completely morally corrupt is astounding. Honestly, how dare you sit there and insult my intelligence with your absurd claims that she has somehow interpreted Harry's silence as lengthy emotional quotes about his parents, or that Harry experienced a blackout and told her his true feelings. Just listen to what you are saying and tell me that doesn't sound like a far-fetched excuse. Is it possible that Harry blacked out? I suppose. But he has no history of such blackouts. but he has no history of such blackouts, and applying Occam's razor would indicate it is much more likely that Rita Skeeter is nothing more than shoot, I'm not even sure what that's supposed to say.
A good reporter?
It must be nothing more than two-faced liar who has no regard for journalistic ethics and would do anything to further her own career. Furthermore, defending her does nothing but tarnish your own reputation as an honest Hufflepuff. Matt, you are a saint for keeping your composure while he stood up for that woman. You have much more restraint than I would have in that situation. That's all we got.
I mean, I'm just saying we don't know what kind of magic Rita Skeeter is capable of. Is she capable of reading minds? Does she? Maybe she took a class from Trelawney back in the day. We don't know. It's just it's so much hatred and misunderstanding put towards this woman who's trying to do her very best at reporting the facts as she sees them and as she obtains them. And, she's doing hard work out there to create these stories to not only inform, but also entertain the masses and those that are reading the Daily Prophet. And she's doing good work. She's doing her best out there. It's tough. These dumb kids are tough to get quotes from. Trust me, I've interviewed dumb kids before, working on the high school newspaper, especially following like football games or basketball games or softball games or whatever. Like, it's incredibly tough to get good quotes from athletes at school. That's all I'm saying. Sometimes you don't want to make them look like they're just dumb kids, so you have to aid the process a little bit, we don't know if Harry blacked out or not. We don't know. But it's just not fair to just definitively say one way or the other without the knowledge. That's all I'm saying.
It continues. Also, Joshua, your Muggle theory was a stretch. Very Scooby-Doo-esque, if you ask me.
Well, we'll see.
I can't talk about anything else this week. That rant took it out of me. Thanks, Alex.
I deflated him.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody that wrote in emails. It's always fun. We had a lot of emails this week. Everybody's excited to write in.
Yeah.
I was expecting everybody to be firmly against me in my stance on Rita, but only a few of you sensitive folk were upset about it, and the rest back me up 100%. So I appreciate that.
I wouldn't go that far.
Matt, before we say goodbye here, we have one last thing to do, and that is announce the next giveaway.
Yes.
Next week. You have picked out a brand new prize. This has nothing to do with the tournament that we have going on. So it's not going to be a dragon. But
it's Matt, completely independent giveaway.
What are we giving away this week?
Well, I think we may have brought this up on one of the movie episodes. I'm trying to remember if we talked about it on air or not, but our good friend Colin, who has joined us on the show a few times, first brought it to my attention. And then just this past week, I had 3 more of you listeners out there mention it to me as well. So I kind of figure this is a good thing. We should probably give one away. Unfortunately, I haven't had the chance to try it out myself yet, but since I've gotten such good reviews, I feel confident in giving it away. We're talking about the Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle cooperative card game.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah. This is quite a fancy card game. It's a cooperative deck building game. From what I hear, well, the rule book looks intimidating because there's actually 7 what they call 7 sequential games that build on their level of difficulty. So it's supposed to mimic the 7 years spent at Hogwarts.
Right.
Now, I don't think it like just takes you through through Harry's story. It just they're using it as a theme, is what they're doing.
Yeah,
and so they have 7 years, 7 games. But from all accounts I've heard, anyone that I've talked to that's played it, they love it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping whoever gets their hands on this is going to love it as well.
Yes. Question.
Yes.
Can I win it?
No.
Next question.
Yes.
Can I play it?
No.
You're worse than Madame Pomfrey sometimes, Matt.
Sucking all the fun out of life.
You do, constantly.
I know.
All right.
Well, we will get you to the point where you can play, and we'll maybe we can when we finish the series, we can like live stream us playing this or something.
Years down the road. I know.
We'll have a good time though.
All right. Next question.
Yes.
How are we giving this away?
That is a very good question, and I'm hoping you can help me out with it.
I do have a solution, Matt.
Wonderful.
We're going to do something fun. I know kind of forcing everybody to use one specific form of social media doesn't always go well.
Sure.
So I'm going to leave this completely open-ended.
Okay.
But I'm asking for help here. Okay?
Okay.
I am asking for everybody that listens that wants to participate in this giveaway to mention us in some shape or fashion on your social media platform of choice, whether that be Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or Pinterest or MySpace. There has to be more out there that I don't know about. But I want you guys out there that are listening to this, that are enjoying this, to help us kind of spread the word and get more people in listening and enjoying and being part of the conversations and the community. Like the reviews that we always do with iTunes, that definitely helps. But I kind of want you guys to talk about something that you enjoy. If you've gotten this far with us, you enjoy us in some capacity.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm asking. Make a post on your Facebook page, on Instagram, Twitter, whatever, and just say,
your platform of choice.
Absolutely. You
whatever
choose.
You're comfortable with using.
Whatever you want to say about us, I mean, as long as it's positive. I mean, don't throw shade my way just because you're mad that I'm right about Rita Skeeter. Just, however you want to do it, however you want to approach it, something along the lines of, hey, I listened to this podcast. It's about Harry Potter. These guys are crazy, especially this one guy. The other one, he's pretty cool. He's pretty mellow. He keeps the other one in line for the most part. Check it out. And then, mention a way for people to listen, whether it be through iTunes or the website or whatever the case is. And then just all you have to do is take a screenshot of whatever post that you make on whatever social media platform of your choosing and just send it over to Matt, talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com. And that's your entry. Just mentioning us in some way, shape, or form. So, we'll see Twitter mentions. We're not guaranteed to see all the other ones because obviously we don't have a Facebook page or Instagram or anything like that. So, that's why you got to take a screenshot of it, even if you do Twitter and we do see it. That just helps the process along. But yeah, that's all you have to do.
It's basically gonna... so I don't have to go chase down all these mentions.
Exactly.
Just have them all appear in my email inbox. That'd be wonderful.
Yes. And of course, as always, send those along separately than your normal weekly emails, just to help things along even further than that. But yeah, that's all I'm asking for. Just some friendly love sent to your friends and family and people that follow you and whatever platform that you choose. And let's get this community bigger, stronger, more fun, more exciting. That's how you enter. You have until next week.
There you go.
All right.
Like it.
Next week's going to be a doozy, Matt. I think. I don't know. I have no idea what the reading entails, to be honest with you.
Chapters 22 and 23.
22 and 23. Yeah. I mean, I knew the numbers. I just didn't know what's going to be in them.
I know.
I figure we'll probably be getting a Christmas chapter. That's coming up. Then after that, like, I don't know, like, are we going to get the next task? It feels like with 3 months in between, it feels like there's room for things to happen that aren't involved with the tasks. So,
sure.
We'll see. If you haven't noticed on the feed, the AMA episode, Butterbeer Banter number 5, is up for you to listen to and enjoy. Also, the newest Muggle Theories, number 4, that's also available for you to download and listen to. And it will kind of make more sense of things that were said here tonight.
Very true.
Yeah, do you have anything else, Matt?
I think that's about it.
Perfect. You could follow me personally on Twitter at The Noise with a Y. You could also, and should also, follow the show on Twitter at Tales from GH. And if you'd like to support us and what we're doing here with the giveaways and the community and everything else that we have cooking, you could do so over on Patreon, patreon.com/Tales from Godric's Hollow. Matt, where can the people say hello to you at?
You can always find me personally on Twitter at As a Matter of Matt. Otherwise, so many of you did this week, whether it be for giveaway entries or emails, or you just want to contact me about something else that you don't want Josh to see, you can send me email over at talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com.
Fantastic. Like I said, next week we'll be back with episode 43. On behalf of Matt and Squidly, this is your friendly Muggle speaking. Till next week, Muggle out.
Mischief managed.